One more. We got one more, baby. One more. It ain't over yet. Just start.
It's been almost 20 years since the Alouettes went to the Grey Cup. Last week, they earned a third straight trip to the Eastern Final. 7 times Hamilton had tasted the bubbly from Earl Grey's mug, but not since '86. The Eskimos beat the odds and stopped the Lions. Are they this year's team of destiny?
I'm not coming home today. I'm not coming home. I'm not coming home.
Calgary has been a major force in the '90s, but have stumbled in the Western Final.
Is a live presentation of CBC Sports.
It has the makings of a football classic. The arm of Danny McManus, the running of Mike Pringle. The Hamilton quarterback is no stranger to the finals, both East and West, a winner in both. His favorite target on 3 CFL teams, Darren Flutie. It's a deadly combination. Mike Pringle rushed for 2,000 yards in '98. Stop Pringle, stop the Owls. Many have tried, few have succeeded. The Argos contained the run, but were burned badly by the passing of Tracy Ham. His go-to receiver in the semifinal, Chris Armstrong. Swift Birch, 2 timely sacks against the Argos. 21 sacks on the season for the Ticats, Joe Montford. Playoff fever is alive in Hamilton. It's the '98 Eastern Final. For the 5th time this season, it's the Montreal Alouettes and the Hamilton Ticats, but this time the winner at Ivor Wynne Stadium goes to the Grey Cup. Hi everyone, I'm Steve Armitage and welcome to the CFL on CBC. The road to Grey Cup '98 is getting shorter. 2 stops today, Calgary and Hamilton, en route to our final destination in Winnipeg next Sunday. The Owls are in the Eastern Final for the 3rd straight time, but they haven't been to the Grey Cup since 1979. The Ticats have won 11 Eastern Finals and 7 Grey Cups, but they haven't been to the big show since 1989. With more on how the 2 teams got to the Eastern Final, here's Caroline Corey. Caroline?
Mike Pringle was a running back to be reckoned with all season long.
Ham, short drop, looks to the end zone, looks for Armstrong, touchdown! And he's already a factor today.
But last week against Toronto, the Owls came out passing. Chris Armstrong was a prime target for Tracy Ham on a couple of occasions. Kerwin Bell had an eye for his favorite receiver too. Daryl Mitchell was right on target. But Bell's penchant for the pass proved fatal. He fumbled 3 times, one of which ended up a touchdown. The Argos mounted a comeback. It was Bell to Andrew English, 21-17 Montreal. Meantime, Ham utilized all his weapons, completing his 3rd TD pass to Matt Cody. But then Ham would re-aggravate some old injuries, pushing him to the sideline. Bell continued to do what he knew best, this throw ending up in Mitchell's hands for his playoff record 16th reception. But sometimes Bell couldn't get rid of the ball fast enough. And where was Mike Pringle during all this? Well, taking on all comers, of course, on his way to 135 yards rushing and scoring the touchdown, which put the game out of reach for Toronto. 41-28, Alouettes advance to the Eastern Final. It was a day for David Archer to silence his critics once and for all. Edmonton established the run early, Troy Mills racking up 101 yards rushing in the first half. Then Archer would pull the trigger on a 13-yard touchdown pass to Marcus Dowdell, 21-3 Edmonton. But then Archer was forced out of the game with an injury, and Kay Stevenson would have to hand the reins over to backup Jimmy Kemp. The Lions opened the second half with Damon Allen throwing a 24-yard pass to Rod Harris, 25-17 Edmonton. In the fourth, the Eskimos lost the lead. Kemp threw an interception to Glenn Rogers Jr., and Rogers would take it all the way back for the touchdown. That bad luck had the Giz wishing otherwise. But Kemp would leave his mark under the hero category, throwing this TD pass to Wiggins, and then there was more to come.
Rookie out of Saskatchewan. Another completion to Wiggins. He could be gone. Brian Wiggins to the 10-5. Touchdown Edmonton.
Thank you, Caroline. Last week we had them call that classic in Edmonton. This week we brought them east to call what we hope will be another classic. Let's go out to the booth and join Mark Lee and Glenn Suter. Gentlemen.
Thanks a lot, Steve, and good afternoon, everyone. Well, Glenn, Tracy Ham said something very interesting yesterday. He suggested that defenses still don't respect him as a passer. He said, the Argos said, we'll plug Pringle last week. Now, Tracy, let's see if you can complete 50 to 60% of your passes. He expects the Ticats will be just as stubborn today, but Montreal is not one-dimensional.
No, they're not, and no question the Hamilton defense was trying to stop Mike Pringle, but I think Pringle is equally effective with the ball as he is without it. I mean, this is the formation that Mike Pringle usually carries the football, but watch Chris Armstrong, because the play-action pass will be effective for Tracy Ham. The defense has to respect Pringle in the backfield. When Tracy Ham turns around to fake the ball to Pringle, watch how all the defenders will step up to try and cancel all the gaps, including the linebackers and the front four in the defensive line. That'll allow Tracy Ham to fake the ball to Pringle and go over top to Chris Armstrong. We'll have lots of space in behind the linebackers, and of course Tracy Ham has lots of time to find them.
Now, how about that connection, that legendary playoff connection between Danny McManus and Darren Flutie? Witnessed that heroic last-second grab in '94 to win the Western Final. What will Hamilton do to get Flutie open today?
Well, there's a formation that I call the Flutie formation, and try and get Darren Flutie isolated on the backside. Darren Flutie will line up by himself on one side of the field, 5 receivers to the other side. Now, it depends on the halfback, Torrey Hunter. If Torrey Hunter decides that he's going to stay to the backside of the formation, then Danny McManus will go to the 5 receiver side. If Hunter goes to the 5 receiver side, then McManus goes back to the one-on-one with Darren Flutie. Now, right now, Danny McManus knows where he wants to go with the football. To the one-on-one with Flutie. It's an option route. If Flutie gets a lineup that's inside, he'll go to the out and down the field. It's been effective all year for the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
So there you have it, Glenn's spy photos and scouting report. Needless to say, Steve, both offenses have balance, and that's what makes this one an exciting matchup.
This is definitely a pick'em. Welcome now to our game day analyst, Pinball Clemens of the Toronto Argonauts on the right, and Danny Barrett, the coach and backup quarterback for the BC Lions, on the left. Mike, this is the first time in a long time that you haven't been in an Eastern Final or a Grey Cup. What do you think today? What should we look for?
Well, this is an odd feeling, but down in Hamilton, what I expect, playing there quite a few times, is a lot of Oski wee wee. The crowd will be huge in this game. They have an atmosphere down there that's second to none. Make no mistake, though, Pringle, and more Pringle. That's the answer for Montreal. But, excuse me, Pringle and McManus, nothing to sneeze at. We've been talking about them all week long, but the difference in this game is going to be great Canadian players. Great Canadian players on both sides of the ball. Look for them to make the difference.
Danny Barrett, to you in Calgary, what do we look for here in the Eastern Final before we talk about the West?
Well, I think you guys both hit it on the head. You mentioned Pringle, and you also mentioned Ham. Talking to Tracy earlier this week, he said that he wants to go out, utilize the play action a little bit, and throw the football, and then come back to Mike later in the game. Again, Darren Flutie is going to be a force, but getting rid of the football is the key for Danny McManus. If he can do that, their line protect them, they're going to have success as well.
Guys, let's talk about the defense. I've always thought the defense wins playoff games. Mike, to you, who's got the better D?
Well, I think statistically, we have to say that Hamilton has the better D. They've given up fewer points. They have the most outstanding defensive player in the East on their team. They've done a lot of things well. And as you know, defense wins championships. That's because, A, they control the run, which is a huge part of championships. And the second thing is they create turnovers. The teams that win commit the fewest turnovers.
Danny Barrett, a quick thought to you. Who's got the better D here in Hamilton?
Well, I think it's even across the board when you look at the guys up front. Both teams put great pressure on the quarterback, Alfred Payton, Joe Munford. So that's going to be a push. To see what Swift Burst does today is going to be a key as well with Peterson up front. On the back end, linebackers are solid. Both secondaries are ball-hawking type defenses. Again, Mike hit it on the head. Whoever can get their turnovers is going to be key defensively as well.
Danny Barrett and Mike Pinball Clemens will have more from both of you later in our pregame show and throughout our telecast this afternoon.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
Well, there are some key players involved in both sides of the ball in this Eastern final, but maybe the kickers could hold the key to victory here. Caroline.
That's right, Steve. The kickers can really decide a game one way or the other. They can either be the hero or the GOAT, depending on whether they make that field goal with no time remaining on the clock. The kickers involved in today's game, Osbaldiston as well as Terry Baker, well, their playoff performances, you can see Osbaldiston is much better in the playoffs as opposed to Baker. As a matter of fact, he's 10 for 10 in his Grey Cup appearances, and Ozzie says he lives for games like this.
I like that opportunity, and I've been blessed over the years to have a fair amount of them over the years in regular season and postseason as well, and that's really where, you know, a lot of times you feel you can make the difference for the team.
It's almost unfair sometimes that it comes down to one individual to determine the outcome of the game, because there's so many plays that happened in the previous 59 minutes and 59 seconds that it's that gets focused on a lot of times, and sometimes it's fair and sometimes it's not fair.
And Baker finished the year off very strongly for his team, kicking all 22 points in their final regular season game of the year right here at Ivor Wynne. And Osbaldiston, well, 82% of his field goals went through the uprights this year compared to just under 56% last year. I'd say that's a great improvement for Ozzie. Back to you, Steve.
In November last year, Ivor Wynne was empty. Today, they're hoping for 27,000. The Ticats hosting the Owls in the Eastern Final. Welcome back to Hamilton and the CFL's Eastern Final. In the West, it's 3 hours and counting for another Battle of Alberta. The Stampeders and Eskimos with a preview of the Western Final. Let's go to McMahon Stadium and join Scott Russell. Scott?
McMahon Stadium in Calgary. Who knows what will happen in 3 hours' time when they stage the Western Final between the Eskimos and Stampeders. On the field here at McMahon, you know the old saying, if you don't like the weather in Alberta, wait 5 minutes, it'll change. A little freezing rain overnight, but they've got the field clear. It looks like it'll be a great Battle of Alberta. For the 7th time in the 1990s, the Stampeders and the Edmonton Eskimos have met with a chance to go to the Grey Cup. Wild Rose Country, Alberta, as much as anywhere else, the Canadian frontier, where battle lines are drawn on a rugged landscape. Through the 80s, War on Ice, the Flames and Oilers played out one of hockey's greatest rivalries. But in the 90s, the campaign shifts to the gridiron and football's Battle of Alberta.
Tracy Ham is going to run for the first time, and he might score.
Just the mention of the words Calgary to Calgary, Edmonton, just intensify the feeling and also the power on the field.
The players get up more for a game against Edmonton than any other team in the league.
Barrett directing traffic, going long. Smith! He could go! Touchdown, Calgary!
There's just something about the mystique of the Calgary-Edmonton series, and over the years, it's made it a great football game to watch. Some of the Western Finals have been notorious for being the best game played during any year.
He's going to run again. Right off the right side! Touchdown!
So much of the 90s was the final, the road to the Grey Cup always went through one of the two Alberta towns, and this year is going to be no different, and I just think it's the biggest football game of the year.
I guarantee there is something much more serious wrong with Doug Flutie, unfortunately for Calgary.
Allen keeps, has a man open, touchdown, Jay Christensen!
There's always been this classic battle between the two football teams, and
They're the two big cities in this province, so they're competing against much more than just in sports.
13-4, the Stampeders lead. Flutie looks into the end zone, touchdown, Dave Sapunjas, just inside the goal line.
It's a big height. It's Battle Alberta, Calgary versus Edmonton. The fans are going to be battling. We're going to be battling. That's what it's all about.
It's short. Picked up by the Giz, and the Giz has a hole. Will they do it in 96 with this kick by Fleming? It's good. And the Edmonton Eskimos have knocked off the Calgary Stampeders and are Grey Cup bound.
I love the way Chris Walby puts it. This is a feud, the Hatfields and the McCoys. He's up in the booth with Chris Cuthbert, fellas.
Well, Scott, the Stamps were the best team during the regular season this year, but Chris, they're facing a different Eskimo team, I think, in the playoffs.
Well, I tell you what, you're exactly right. Biggest game of the year last week, coming back, snatching victory from the British Columbia Alliance. This team is brimming with confidence, and here are two of the key players. You got Brian Wiggins last week, 2 key touchdowns right at the end of the game, and Troy Mills, you know what he can do on the ground, 123 yards rushing last week.
Both teams talking about the importance of a balanced attack. Calgary's boasted that all year with Kelvin Anderson, who's been a force on the ground, and through the air, he's the Western nominee as outstanding player. And of course, Alan Pitt's 101 career touchdowns, and the Stamps feel they have an edge at slot back today against the Edmonton Eskimos. So we'll decide the best in the West later this afternoon, just over 3 hours from now. Now back to Hamilton. Here again, Steve Armitage.
Thank you, Chris. Last week it was Tracy Ham's passing and play selection made the difference against the Argos. Danny McManus has turned last year's 2-16 Ticats into winners. A battle of the veteran quarterbacks today in the Eastern Final. Welcome back to Hamilton's Ivor Wynne Stadium. It's the 5th playoff meeting since 1980 between these two old rivals. The Ticats have a 3-1 edge. Now, more from Mark and Glenn in the booth.
Thanks, Steve. Glenn, there are some intriguing matchups by position in this East Final. Let's start at quarterback, where we have two of the most experienced playoff passers in the game, and Danny Mac and Tracy Ham. Tracy Ham, once a run-first, happy-feet kind of quarterback, has really found a comfort zone, hasn't he, as a passer?
He certainly has. Tracy Ham is making great decisions as a passer. I love his quote yesterday. He said, the Montreal Alouettes have all the tools to go all the way this year, but I'm carrying the toolbox. No question, the hammer in that toolbox is Mike Pringle. But this team will go as far as Tracy Ham will take it.
And on the other side, Danny McManus is playing in his 7th division final in 9 years. Hey, he led the league in interceptions. He's never won an award, but he's one of the most successful quarterbacks at playoff time with 2 Grey Cup rings to his credit.
And something that will help Danny McManus in the passing game is the running ability of Ronald Williams. Down the stretch, Ronald Williams averaged 82 yards a game along the ground, up 50 yards per game from the first half of the season. Ron Williams is hot, he's a load, and he should keep that Montreal defense off balance.
Mike Pringle is the engine that drives the Montreal machine on offense. The first man over 2,000 yards rushing in CFL history. He's like that rabbit in those battery commercials. He just keeps on going and going, often getting most of his yards in the second half when defenses begin to wilt. And speaking of defense, we've got a real treat today. This East Final showcasing the top 2 pass rushers in the league.
Yeah, led by Alfred Payton with the Montreal Alouettes. And Alfred Payton, 16 sacks in the regular season. And you know, Danny McManus is tough to get to. In fact, Montreal as a team in 4 games only sacked Danny McManus 3 times. But you know what? Alfred Payton had 2 of them.
And Joe Montfort led the country in sacks with 21. He led Hamilton in almost every category. Forced fumbles, tackles for losses behind the line of scrimmage, and he's the East nominee for Best Defensive Player, but he had only 2 of those 21 sacks against the Montreal Alouettes. They are the sack masters, Glenn, but they'll have to honor the run today. Steve?
Thank you, Mark. We're going right now to our game day analysts, Mike Binball Clemens sitting in Toronto and Danny Barrett in Calgary. Guys, it's time to talk about the Western Final. First of all, I'll go to you, Danny. You're closer to the scene. What do you expect to happen today between the Eskimos and Stamps?
Just like in the previous years, it's going to be a very exciting game. Looking at both teams yesterday, they're very calm, they're very relaxed, and they look very confident. So having said that, Edmonton's riding on an emotional high. Calgary has to make amends over the previous year, so it's going to be an exciting game. Looking forward to it.
Mike, your thoughts on the Western final at McMahon Stadium in Calgary?
Well, they've got great players on both sides of the football, but I think the focus here is Edmonton's defense against Calgary's offense. You look at that Edmonton defense. They have Malvin, I like to call him hunter-gatherer, because he's primitive the way he goes at the quarterback. But he is really helped most of all by Benny as good as it gets, because Benny's the one that keeps the pressure off him, because Benny draws the double team, and they have Willie Pless behind him, an all-star, 5-time Defensive Player of the Year. They will have to stop Calgary's offense from going to the casino. By that I mean the slot machines. The slot backs, Vince Danielson, Allen Bottomless Pitts, those two guys are great. Along with Kelvin Anderson and Jeff Garcia being able to run with the ball. The defense-offense combination right there.
Thank you, Pinball. And Danny, we'll talk to you at halftime. Ronnie Lancaster won a Grey Cup in the West. He'd like to win one in the East as a coach. Kickoff, Hamilton, Montreal just ahead. This will be the final game of the season for two teams in the West and the East, and for some of the players, it will be their final hurrah.
It's the ultimate feeling. It's what you strive for every year as a football player. Really, personal accomplishments aside, that's the only thing that worth going for from when everybody gets together in June for training camp.
You know, how many opportunities does a professional athlete get to play in a championship game? And I think any professional athlete wants to play in a championship game, because you never know whether or not it's going to be your last.
That's the ultimate goal. You set out for it every year when you start to play. So many guys have played for a lot of years and never won. And then you see some guys who played for 4 years and they were on 4 different teams, but every time they seem to stumble onto a Grey Cup.
Without the Grey Cup, you know, numbers mean anything, and that's what you set your goal for in preseason, to win the Grey Cup. So without the Grey Cup this year, it'll hurt a lot of players in this locker room.
The awards are nice. Being selected as an All-Star is nice, but winning the Grey Cup in '92, and I won awards in '92, but the thing I remember the most is winning the championship. So I don't care about the awards. I want to win the Grey Cup championship.
It would mean the world to me. Like I say, I haven't had a whole lot of winning seasons in my career. I've been on some teams that had some rough times, but you know, growing up just not far from Toronto, you know, watching a Grey Cup all my life, and then having to get to this point, it's amazing. It'd be something for me because I'm coming, you know, near the end of the career. I just want to win it.
It'd mean everything to me. That's the only reason I'm here. That was the sole purpose in coming to Edmonton, was to have a chance to play with this group in the playoffs and go all the way to the Cup.
It's the ghost that haunts me at the moment, that I've never played in the Grey Cup after 9 years, but I'm really doing my best at the moment not to think about that. I've had a great time with these bunch of guys in this football team. We've had a lot of fun playing together, off the field, on the field. We get along tremendously, and this season will be a success regardless. But obviously, we all want to go to a Grey Cup very badly.
And there's the man who's never played in a Grey Cup, Jock Liney. He'd like to help change that today for himself and the Montreal Alouettes. The weather will definitely be a factor here today. The wind gusting from 40 to 50 kilometers an hour. Hopefully the rain stays away. It's overcast and cloudy right now. Now let's make our way up to the booth and join Mark Lee and Glenn Suter. Gentlemen, take it away.
Thanks very much, Steve. They're bundled up here at Ivor Wynn, and the wind will be a factor. The Ticats won the opening toss, Glenn, and have deferred to the second half. Here are your keys.
Yeah, I think for the Montreal Alouettes, of course, offensively, Pringle, and a lot more Pringle. He's the key, especially on first down. Defensively, they have to disrupt the Hamilton receivers. Danny McManus has a quick release, and he's tough to sack. If you disrupt the receivers, make him hold the ball, you can get to him. For the Hamilton Tiger Cats, offensively, they also have to establish the run. We mentioned Ron Williams earlier. And on defense, success on first down, whether it be through play-action pass or running Pringle That's how Tracy Ham has had success when he's moving the football. Defensively, they have to have success on first down to have a chance.
Dave Ritchie with 25 wins in his last 2 years, regular season head coach of the Alouettes, more than both Ron Lancaster and Don Matthews, and now he's just one win away here from going to the Grey Cup. And Ron Lancaster, the little general, fashioning the greatest turnaround in Ticats history. 2-16 last year he came in, and they've had 12, 5-1 this year. Their best year ever in Tiger Cat history. A 21-point swing as Terry Baker gets set to kick off right into the wind. And the ball is blown off the tee. You can see, Glenn, already how powerful the wind is, and it swirls in this stadium.
Yeah, the wind is gusting. Right now it's in the face of the Montreal Alouettes, but it gusts and it swirls, so you never know, especially when you line up for a field goal.
Amerson and Williams back to return the opening kickoff. And it's Amerson bobbling it, a miscommunication between him and Williams, but he's got some room outside. Stefan Reed will push him out of bounds, but not before he gets across the 40-yard line on a 22-yard kickoff return to get this East Final underway in Hamilton. And Danny McManus in his 7th division final in 9 years, setting a new passing record this year for the Tiger Cats.
Up front for the Ticats, Val St. Germain was hurt in week 18, but he is back in the lineup, and running back Ron Williams, to me, is the key. Obviously, Darren Flutie is going to be the go-to guy, but Hamilton will need balance. Ron Williams should provide that balance out of the backfield.
Williams with a 5.8-yard average this season for the Tiger Cats. He is alone as McManus calls the signals and gives to Ronald Williams right off the bat, and there's a big collision right at the line of scrimmage with Doug Peterson.
Defensively for the Montreal Alouettes, led up front, of course, by Alfred Payton, 16 sacks in the regular season. Payton said yesterday, yeah, Danny McManus is tough to get to, but at least we know where he's going to be, right in the pocket, and he wants to get at him today. Tracy Gravely will be a key in the linebacking core because he will be asked to cover Archie Amerson if he gets out of the backfield, and Irv Smith is back in the lineup after that big hit last week on Kerwin Bell.
Second down and a little more than 5 for the Tiger Cats on their first series. Across the middle, and it's complete and then dropped. Incomplete is the ruling as McManus went over the top to Darren Flutie, and he couldn't haul it in with lots of collision there from Brian Clark, the linebacker, who comes back into this game as they take Harold Nash off the defense, hoping to bolstering their run play.
Darren Flutie finds a little bit of hole in the zone defense, but Brian Clark, 48, is just reading the quarterback's eyes and flowing to the football, and he puts the hit on Flutie and just knocks that football out of there.
Osbaldiston to punt, 43.3-yard average, and he'll have that 40 to 50 kilometer per hour wind at his back as Turi Davis goes back to return with help from Thomas Haskins. The high end-over-end punt, pushing Haskins and Davis back. It'll be Davis at his own 5. Across the 10, breaks one tackle, but great punt cover from the Tiger Cats. A 56-yard move from Osbaldiston and just an 8-yard return from the speedy Davis. As Tracy Ham gets set to go on offense for the Alouettes. He's been playing through injuries since training camp. This year beat the Argos 41-28 in the semifinal, fooling everybody with the pass.
And he'll get protection up front, led by Neil Ford, who will be one-on-one for the most part of this afternoon against the best in the business in Joe Mumford. And in the backfield, this team will go as far as Tracy Ham will take it. Yes, Mike Pringle is very important, but it's Tracy Ham who has to win it for him.
Hitchcock inflames the fans as they rise here to drown Tracy Ham. Up behind his center, Mike Sutherland. First play of their offensive series, and the give is to the big man, Pringle, and he lumbers right through the right side before Willie Whitehead brings him down at defensive tackle.
Defensively for the Hamilton Tiger Cats up front, of course, Joe Mumford will be a load for them to handle. It'll be the one-on-one with Neil Fort that we will watch this afternoon. Lamar McGriggs will be a key because Hamilton doesn't have to substitute with McGriggs. They can leave the nickel on the bench. And, of course, in the secondary, Eric Carter returns to the lineup after being off for a month with a knee injury.
Second down and 5 as Ham confers in his backfield. It is already loud at Ivor Wynn. Second and 5. What will Ham come with on this play? Pass action. It's behind Davis, way behind him. And so Terry Baker will have to punt, and already Eric Carter is talking tough for the Tiger Cats.
And Tyree Davis goes back and tries to get the hot read, but I don't think he sees the ball coming. I mean, Davis is looking back towards Tracy Ham and doesn't read as quickly as Ham does. Justin Rink flew out there from the linebacking core and got in the sight line, and they just couldn't hook up on him.
Terry Baker with a 45.7-yard average. He was the better of the two punters in warm-ups into this win. Baker kicks a nice spiral cutting through the teeth of that wind. It drives Bobby Alla back across his own 50. He breaks one tackle from Torrey Hunter, spins, and is forced out of bounds at center field. Good field position for the Tiger Cats when they begin their second series of the first quarter. Welcome back to Ivor Wynne Stadium in Hamilton. Danny McManus with 4,706 passing yards this season for Hamilton, breaking Tom Clement's Tie-Cat record, and he's had most of his success with his favorite target, Darren Flutie, who also set a new record with 98 receptions this year. First down, Tiger Cats. The ball just shy of center field. They have the wind and they have great field position, and they must take advantage of that here early on a brisk day on the shores of Lake Ontario. McManus dumps it off to Flutie, makes one move, and then is hit hard.
Interesting formation for the Hamilton Tiger Cats to start things out. Put Darren Flutie at the tailback position and Archie Amerson out of the backfield. When Amerson lines up way out there, Tracy Gravely has to line up. Now you see Darren Flutie in the backfield just release and catch that ball and try and make the one-on-one move in the open field. It's an interesting formation, something that the Hamilton Tiger Cats didn't do all year during the regular season. One of those playoff wrinkles.
Mark Washington is into the game on defense as the Alouettes go to the extra DB. The handoff is to Ronald Williams, and he is stuffed for a loss on the play. Tracy Gravely coming up to fill on that Alouette defense.
Penetration will kill the run game, and when Ron Williams picks up the football, he has nowhere to go.
Smart call by the Ticats, anticipating the extra DB going to the ground, but Tracy Gravely was there to shut down Ron Lancaster's second series of this game as Osbaldiston stands at his own 50-yard line. With the wind, it's a shank, end over end, and Haskins lets it go out of bounds at the 5-yard line. A 45-yard punt from Ozzie, and once again, Montreal will be hemmed in deep against the wind.
Well, that's a huge play by Paul Osbaldiston. I mean, with the wind behind him, you see that flag going. He could have kicked that one right to the end zone for a single, but he didn't want to. No question about it. He wanted to angle that to the sideline and pin Montreal deep. I mean, it's tough when you got the wind at your back as a punter to control the football and get it out of bounds, and Paul Osbaldiston puts that one right where he wants to.
Some people might wonder why Ozzie didn't attempt a field goal in practice. With the wind, he was kicking it 54 yards.
The only thing I would say with that is, remember, if you miss it, it goes back to the original line of scrimmage. But you're right, he had the wind at his back and likely could have had the distance.
Armstrong, the hero of the semifinal, with 2 touchdown catches on passes from this man, Tracy Ham, going to work at his own 5-yard line, facing the wind and a rather venomous Ticat fan base of 25,000 plus here, and they won't get much on that play.
Well, you know the front four right now for the Hamilton Tiger Cats are fired up. I mean, you are anytime during the regular season when you're facing Mike Pringle, because that's the challenge, especially early in a playoff game. Willie Whitehead, Mike Philbrick, Gonzalo Floyd, and Joe Mumford are going to be ready to play. But Pringle will pound at you from start to finish.
This is what the Ticat defense wants to do. Put Ham, Dave Ritchie in a second and long situation. 2nd and 7. Precariously close to their own goal line, and so they'll hand off to Pringle right through the middle, and he'll be stopped shy of the first down marker by Calvin Tiggle, the leading tackler on the Ticat defense.
Well, it's going to be close, but I don't think Dave Ritchie will take a chance this far back in his own end of the field. Well, it's actually not as close as I thought it was originally, about 1.5 yards, maybe 2 yards, so no question he'll punt the ball away.
Pringle has averaged 100 yards plus per game in 3 games this regular season against the Tiger Cats. There's Tiggle. That Ticat defense is designed to put him in position to make the tackle.
Yeah, they're going to get to know each other real well this afternoon. Calvin Tiggle and Mike Pringle.
Now
It'll get personal.
How about this? Baker in his own end zone. From the goal line, another nice spiral through the wind. It'll be Bobby Olive at the 50. A sidestep. He fumbled the ball. The ball's loose and picked up by Rob Hitchcock. Timely for the Tiger Cats, and they'll maintain position, but a close call on that punt return. A 40-yard punt from Terry Baker, and the Ticats, thanks to Hitchcock, have field position and have possession.
One thing you know at playoff time, especially on the special teams, is it's going to be physical. And Bobby Olive gets hit by 3 or 4 Montreal Alouettes. Not sure who pulled it out of there, but the ball's on the turf, and luckily for Hamilton and their fans, Rob Hitchcock is right there to take it on the one hopper.
So a close call for the Tiger Cats, who go on offense now at the Montreal 45-yard line. McManus in the shotgun formation, sending everybody out. It's complete to the 30-yard line, and a gang tackle, a 15-yard completion to Darren Flutie.
You know, Mark, during the regular season, Danny McManus was biased a little bit towards the slots, about 50%, but against the Montreal Alouettes, look at this statistic. 66% of his throws go to the slot backs, Mike Morreale and Darren Flutie. That's the matchup you're going to look for.
Very good. McManus began the year favoring Flutie, then began spreading the ball to Morreale, who had his first 1,000-yard receiving season. Deep. Flutie. Touchdown, Hamilton. The connection with his favorite target, Darren Flutie. A 30-yard touchdown pass over Torrey Hunter, and the Cats score first.
Well, Flutie uses a little motion to give Danny McManus a pre-snap read to decide whether or not it's zone and man, and when he sees it's man, he's got the one-on-one with Darren Flutie on Torrey Hunter. That's where he's going to go with the football, no question about it. Darren Flutie is his go-to guy, especially when he sees man defense and they hook up first.
Flutie will now hold the ball for Paul Osbaldiston's convert. It's through the uprights, and the hometown team, the Tiger Cats, go up by a converted touchdown. Darren Flutie makes it 7-0 Hamilton as Danny Mack in the shotgun finds his favorite target, and the playoff chemistry continues in Hamilton. Darren Flutie enjoying the limelight early in the East Final with his 6th touchdown catch of the season.
Well, it's a great throw by Danny McManus and a better read. I mean, Danny McManus knows he's got man-to-man. He's going to go to his go-to guy, Darren Flutie. Saw safety Tom Europe was out of the middle and went right down to Flutie, who beats Torrey Hunter to get to the end zone.
Hunter with a fumble recovery for a touchdown last week against Toronto was burned early here. Here's Haskins on the kickoff return, weaving his way through the Hamilton cover, and is tackled at the 38-yard line on a 27-yard return. The Hamilton scoring drive, all of 2 plays covering 45 yards, and a 30-yard touchdown reception from Darren Flutie after Rob Hitchcock saves the day with that fumble recovery.
Yeah, now it's Tracy Ham's turn. He's got to go back to the game plan, run Pringle, pound him up in there, try and get success on first down so that he can get in second and short, second and medium, work the play action here.
Tracy Ham, if you watch his feet lately, he's been flat-footed, looking so calm and poised in the huddle, a contrast from the early years when he had the happy feet, as we mentioned off the top of the broadcast, and would look to run more often than pass. Play action fake to Pringle, hand to pass deep, and it's over the hands of Matt Cody, but he was wide open. As Neil Ford, all 350 pounds of him, has words with the sackmaster Joe Montford.
Well, this is the way we drew it up in the pregame show. Play action pass to Pringle. You have to respect it defensively, and Matt Cody's going to get lots of room in behind. The ball is just overthrown, and Rob Hitchcock almost comes up with the interception.
Through the breadbasket of the Hamilton local boy, one of 6 Hamiltonians who've made good here on the Ticat team. 2nd and 10. Montreal. Hand drops back to pass. Has time. Going deep again for Davis. It's intercepted. Lamar
Tracy Ham didn't think he was back there. He throws it up, and Lamar McGriggs goes up and gets it. We talked about his flexibility. He's a great athlete that can run, so they don't have to substitute him. Tracy Ham thought Lamar McGriggs was coming on a blitz. He got hit late by Willie Whitehead, but the fact of the matter is Lamar McGriggs dropped back and picked that ball off.
There he is, the masked man, Whitehead, with 2 big pressures on that series against Ham from his defensive tackle position. Ticats back on offense on their own 45. They hand off to Ronald Williams. He's got a big hole and a first down for Hamilton before Torrey Hunter makes the tackle. A 13-yard gain for Ronald Williams. Williams
traded with Winnipeg for Ted Long. Ron Williams has been a key factor down the stretch for the Hamilton Tiger Cats, and he has a big hole to run through. This is what will keep Alfred Payton and Doug Peterson off Danny McManus if they can have success running the football to Ron Williams.
Williams left the final regular season game against Montreal in the first half with a hyperextended knee, but he looks fit. McManus is hurried, goes to the sideline. It's complete. No, it's waved off. Andrew Grigg thought he had both feet in bounds, but it's incomplete. Andrew Grigg.
Well, that's very close, and you're going to get a great look at whether or not Andrew Grigg was inbounds. Here comes the ball, and you just need 1 foot in the CFL. Get one more angle at it to see whether or not his foot is inbounds. He's got the ball right now.
That looks like a complete pass.
I'm not so sure if that's not a catch. And Andrew Grigg is asking the same question.
Big month of November for Andrew Grigg. November 28th. He is engaged and will get married to Grace Di Tommaso. And Alfred Payton is wound up, being forced off the field after being injured.
He better be careful or he may get thrown off the field. Montreal does not want to lose Alfred Payton.
Well, he was wound up here in the last regular season game, getting into that battle with Dave Hack. Hack face masked him. They had to rebolt his face mask back on his helmet. And already Alfred is into this game emotionally.
I get the feeling these 2 teams don't like each other now.
Ronald Williams flanked wide right, the running back, as they have nobody left in the backfield. Screen pass to Darren Flutie. And he's got another first down and more. There's a new wrinkle. The ball's loose. They're saying the play was blown down. Doug Peterson jarring that one loose. But it'll be blown down and a first down for Flutie and the Tiger Cats.
Back to the wrinkle that the Hamilton Tiger Cats have thrown in for this game. Darren Flutie in the backfield. You see Flutie lined up behind McManus, just going to turn around, pick up the screen, and take off. Archie Amerson and Ron Williams had vacated the backfield and lined up as receivers.
Darren Flutie with 4 catches so far, 76 yards. That one, a 25-yard screen romp. The give is to Ronald Williams. He gets by Carbonneau and is dropped for a slight gain on the play. Brian Clark, the middle linebacker, making the collision.
Well, you probably wonder, like, why is the Montreal defense not reacting to this formation? When you put Darren Flutie in the backfield, what has to happen is the linebackers, Brian Clark, Tracy Gravely, and Stephon Reed have to vacate with the backs. The defensive backs aren't used to taking care of Darren Flutie from in the backfield formation, and it's given them problems so far.
And to play a team as often as these teams have played each other, their 5th game this year, you've got to come up with some new looks, and that one fooled Montreal. Over the middle, Archie Amerson, complete. And close to the first down marker, Irv Smith, who suffered a slight concussion last week in a collision with Kerwin Bell, making the tackle on Amerson.
Well, Darren Flutie again was in the backfield and released to Danny McManus's left, and this time McManus goes back to the right to Archie Amerson, who's going to be one-on-one with the nickel, Mark Washington, but Amerson is as good as a receiver when he gets out in that position.
It'll be 3rd down and just under a yard to go for the Tiger Cats. The ball on the 19-yard line of the Alouettes. The Ticats have not been successful in 3rd down gambles this year, but they have momentum here early in the East Final. Handoff Ronald Williams picks his hole, and he has the first down. Rashid Giddings brings him down just shy of the 15.
Well, sometimes it's better to run a little bit off tackle or outside on a short yardage situation because the defense will pinch into the middle. Everyone will slant down towards the middle of the field, and sometimes all you need is a little seam to the outside. And Ron Williams was one arm tackle away from breaking it.
Danny McManus has the Alouettes on their heels, mixing up his play selection. 5 first downs to none for Montreal. Going to the end zone again. It's dropped. Morreale had it. And there's a flag on the play. Dave Ritchie looking upset as they discuss this one. Is it offensive or defensive interference?
Well, forward pass interference. Montreal number 3. First down.
Torrey Hunter again. Torrey Hunter made his mistake before the snap of the ball because he got on the wrong shoulder of Mike Morreale. He got to the outside, and when you're going down the seam, it's tough to come back and cover. Torrey Hunter tries to time it. You see Torrey Hunter at the top of your screen. He gets to the outside shoulder of Mike Morreale, then he has to come across his body to try and get the football.
Going to Morreale as Flutie was double covered on that play. First and goal. Hamilton. Ronald Williams. Touchdown. Tiger Cats. Ronald Williams scoring for the Tiger Cats as they continue to mix it up on offense and build a big lead on Dave Ritchie and the Alouettes with the point after from Paul Osbaldiston. Make it 14-0. Hamilton leading the Alouettes with 3 minutes to play in the first quarter of the East Final.
Great balance from the Hamilton offense early in this football game, and they got the big lead.
Williams rumbling as the Tiger Cats build the lead. Torrey Hunter victimized again early in this football game with the pass interference that set up the touchdown.
Yeah, Torrey Hunter, first of all, he stopped right there, guys. Look, he gets outside position, and Mike Morreale's coming right to the post. Now, Torrey Hunter has to know on the call of the defense that Tom Europe has gone to double cover Darren Flutie. He has no post help. Torrey Hunter has to stay inside position, and that sets up the Ron Williams touchdown, and it's 14-0 early.
Val St. Germain back after missing Week 18 with an injury, opening a huge hole on that touchdown run for Val St. Germain, and Davis can't find the handle on this kickoff. Davis is hemmed into the corner, tries to get free, and is tackled on the 6-yard line. Terry Davis, trouble snagging that kickoff from Osbaldiston, and the kickoff cover put him into the coffin corner.
Well, we're only in the first quarter of this football game, but already Tracy Ham has to come up with a big series. Here's the bobble of the football by Tyree Davis. He just can't get the handle. You got to catch that football in the air if possible. Davis can't get it and puts his team in tough field position, and that's where Tracy Ham has started for the whole first part of this football game. But this is a big series. He doesn't necessarily need to score, but he needs to reestablish some field position, at least put 3 or 4 first downs together.
And with 2:44 to go against the wind, he's got to manage the clock. He's got to eat up the clock until they can get the ball with the wind in the second quarter. The handoff, Pringle. There's a flag on the play as Pringle crashes off the left tackle following the block of Okiki for a big gain. And Floyd is saying it's against Montreal. There's the call. It is indeed procedure from Dave Ewell against the Alouettes, and that will really hurt them again with field position. Looked like Mike Souls may have been the man.
Illegal procedure. Montreal 22. Penalties decline. Second down.
Well, Mike Pringle had a big hole, and it's likely because Michael Souls cheated.
Mike Souls likely all excited in this football game. Could be his last if they lose. Look at the difference in offense so far early in this game. It's all Hamilton. Souls saying he'll retire after this season. The handoff is to Pringle, and he goes nowhere. Gonzalo Floyd puts the
block on Mike Pringle. Well, when you play on the opposite side of Joe Mumford, you're sort of just the other guy in the defensive line for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. But Gonzalo Floyd had a great season, 7 sacks on the year, and very important play on first down. Or excuse me, second down for Tracy Ham.
Ham looking somewhat frustrated. Not the same start as last week when they opened with 2 big touchdowns on passes to Chris Armstrong. Again, Baker standing at his own goal line, punting into the wind. A nice spiral, cutting through the wind, coming down to Olive, across the 50, the 45. It's a block from Justin Ring on Tracy Gravely and is knocked hard out of bounds. A 33-yard punt, a 13-yard return, and good field position again for Hamilton. Back at Ivor Wynne Stadium in Hamilton, and the Tiger Cats are threatening again. First down on the Montreal 35, a minute 36 to go with the wind in the first quarter. Play action, bootleg, pressure, and good pressure on the play from Swift Birch that prevents McManus from getting rid of the ball. Alfred Payton back in the lineup for the Alouettes after being forced against his own will to leave after he was shaken up.
Yeah, he didn't want to come out of the football game. When you get to this point in the season, you certainly don't want to come out. Alfred Payton had to. He's working one-on-one on the backside on Dave Hack. Dave Hack does a nice job. Now, Alfred Payton's not necessarily supposed to get too far downfield. He's kind of spying the run on that play. So, kind of a stalemate between Hack and Payton.
He is a quarterback terrorist to behold, and now he's got pressure. Quick release over to Ronald Williams. Williams with the ball across the middle. And he's brought down at about the 31-yard line for a short gain. It'll be second and long with Mark Washington back in as the nickelback in that passing situation. And Williams looks to be moving slowly. He said he was 85% coming into this game after hyperextending his knee in the last week of the regular season. Let's go down to the sidelines and here's Steve Armitage.
Mark, they say that Ronald Williams has been bothered by a hamstring all season long, so when he came off after the last series, they put some heat on it. They're not taking any chances.
Not a good sign for Hamilton. A 38-yard attempt from Osbaldiston, and he's wide left as the winds of Ivor Wynne rise up and push his field goal attempt to the left. He was saying during practice this week his kicks were breaking as much as 15 yards with that swirling wind here the right side of this Ivor Wynne Stadium.
Yeah, when we talked to him, he sounded a little bit like a weatherman. He knew it exactly which way the wind was coming and how it swirled in the stadium, but obviously miscalculated a little bit on that last kick because that one sailed wide. It's tough to gauge. Comes in off one corner and then kind of swirls around and can change between the time the ball is snapped and the time you make contact with it.
So a single on the wide field goal. It's 15-0 Hamilton. Don't forget, coming right up after the East Final, we go to Calgary's McMahon Stadium for the Battle of Alberta. In the West Final, it's the Eskimos and the Calgary Stampeders. Pinball Clemens and Danny Barrett also standing by as our game day guests. We'll hear from them at halftime. And bootlegger, lots of time. Across the middle, and it's knocked down by Orlando Steinauer. The ball intended for Chris Armstrong.
Orlando Steinauer is a great cover man in the secondary, and he has great ball sense. And what that means, when the football's in the air, he'll break on it. He is beaten initially by about 1.5 yards, but watch how he breaks on the football. Great closing speed and is really there before Armstrong has a chance to catch football.
This wind also affects the passing game. Look at the numbers so far. Ham yet to have a single yard passing. Second and 10. Straight back to pass. Across the middle. Climby's got it. What a catch.
Unbelievable catch by Jock Climby. And it was one that Tracy Ham desperately needed to get a little bit of momentum.
Jock Climby, who will write his 6th bar exam on Monday, keeping his head in football in this big game, the East Final, 15-0, Hamilton in front. Welcome back to Hamilton, and follow the flashing lights to look at the comparison in the first quarter as the Owls finally get their first down of the game.
Yeah, you see the 21 yards of rushing for the Alouettes. When you only have 5:30 time of possession, you don't get a whole lot of chances with the football. So Tracy Ham can get some catches like this from Jock Climbing and the rest of his receivers and keep some drives alive, then that time of possession number will go up for him. Great catch. Jock Climbing dives across to come up with that one.
Finally, something clicking for offensive coordinator Charlie Taff and the Montreal Alouettes as Ham goes to Climbing, who wants this so badly. His 9th season in the CFL, and he's yet to be in a Grey Cup game. Now, Ham has the wind at his back, and the ball on the 51. The handoff to Pringle. Justin Ring watching and knocks him out of bounds for a short gain on the play, stringing Pringle to the left.
Yeah, and that's you either got to make a commitment to Pringle to step up in there and try to make his shoulders turn towards the sideline. If he's running north-south, he's awfully tough to bring down. But if you get him turned a little bit, you got a chance, and Justin Ring did it on that play.
Pringle with 2,064 yards during the regular season, the first man over 2,000 on the ground in this league. 2nd and 7. Ham can't make up his mind. This time he'll run. He's got a bad knee, don't forget. And he's got the first down and safely out of bounds into the Hamilton bench with pursuit from Ring again.
Tracy Ham had to run on that play. He had nothing downfield. This Hamilton secondary is doing a nice job of cover. He has a ton of steamboats in the pocket. Finally takes off, finds a little opening to pick up the first down, but there is coverage downfield. You see Armstrong out there with Climbing and really no one open. You got defenders all around him.
12-yard pickup and a first down by Ham. Back to pass again. Pumps once, going deep down the far sideline. Tyree Davis, the intended receiver, but the wind picked that one up as it sailed long.
Sometimes it's just as tough to throw with the wind as it is against it. It'll just take that football and take off with it. And Tyree Davis made about 4 moves on Derek Greer, but he didn't bite on any of them.
Davis, the 4'1" man, up against Derek Greer.
Now, this is a veteran secondary. You think Derek Greer and Eric Carter on the corners and Steinauer and Vaughn in the halfbacks. Who do you go at?
Big play now for the Alouette offense. 2nd and 10 with the win. Ham in the shotgun, rolling right with protection from Brian Chu. Far side, that's Matt Cody, but he's short of the first down. And he knows it. Now what do you do?
Well, he's short enough that I think Dave Ritchie has to send in the field goal team, especially with the win. I mean, you're looking at 3 yards.
He's saying go for it.
He's saying go for it.
So Ritchie's the gambler. It'll be 3rd down and 2 yards.
Wow. See, you know, this, you don't ever want to second-guess decisions, but Dave Ritchie is setting himself up for that right now.
3rd down gamble, Alouettes. Ball on the Hamilton 35. 2 yards to go for first down. I formation in the backfield. Handoff Pringle. I don't think he got it. Joe Montfort, the leading sack master in the CFL, comes up big against the run.
Not only was it a huge gamble, but everyone in the park, including Joe Mumford, Lamar McGriggs, Rob Hitchcock, and the rest of the Hamilton defense, knew what Montreal was going to do with the football. They were going to turn around and give it to Mike Pringle. They had plugged up the middle. Mumford cuts in and makes the tackle, holds him short. Boy, I don't know about that gamble.
First down, Tiger Cats, the handoff to Ronald Williams, and he's stuffed by Stefan Reed right in the middle of that Montreal defense. And so with the wind and great field position, Montreal turns the ball over.
Well, 13 minutes left in the first half. Lots of football left to play, and I mean, yes, you're down by 15 points, but you want to come away with points when you're in the other team's half of the field. And the last drive, obviously, Dave Ritchie comes away with nothing.
Don Southern's defense stalwart on that one. McManus in the shotgun, 2nd and 9. Down the middle, it's complete for a first down to big Mike Morielli. Morielli using his height to his advantage, shielding Torrey Hunter.
Well, Mike Montreal had his best game of the year against the Montreal Alouettes. It was in September. He had 7 catches for 139 yards. And it's a matchup that these guys have been working on. Darren Flutie and Morreale on Barron Miles and Torrey Hunter. And right now it's been Hunter that's been victimized more than Miles.
Morreale finally getting a chance to be a starting receiver in this league, and he made good this year, going over 1,000 yards for the first time in his career. McManus firing a strike into close coverage, and that's Darren Flutie with the ball close to another first down at center field. Tracy Gravely, the tackle. Darren was telling us, I hate cold weather and I hate last-minute games, and he seems to excel in both.
Well, Darren Flutie, during the regular season in his career, averages around 80 yards a game, but you know what? That goes way up in the playoffs, so I don't know about this in the cold thing. Darren Flutie plays pretty well in the cold.
He's all too modest. He's already over 84 yards on 5 receptions. That's Darren Flutie. McManus handing off as Williams tries to hurdle his blockers like Stefan Reed and Hips forming the roadblock there for Ronald Williams, who's been finding the tough going here right now. Darren Flutie hates the cold, he does, eh? Well, he sure plays well.
And people say I love playing in the cold weather too, because I've played in a lot of that, but I hate them both. I don't like last-minute games. I don't like cold weather. I wish it were sunny and 20 degrees out.
I think he was shivering in that interview room too. I can't forget though 94 when he beat his brother 37-36, making that catch just inside the goal line at McMahon in the West Final.
Well, if he hates it, he's hiding it well.
Whoa, another bobbled ball by Haskins, who holds on deep in Montreal territory. A 38-yard punt from Osbaldiston and a 10-yard return, the tackle by Dan Pronick. We're back to Hamilton after this. Back in Hamilton, and there's the club on the right arm of rookie Dan Pronick, who leads the Ticats in special teams tackles this year with 17.
Another bobble of the ball by the Montreal Alouettes, and that's Pronick with the club getting in there to make the tackle.
One-handed tackle from Dan Pronick.
Well, I love Ron Lancaster's quote on Dan Pronick. Mike Morreale's getting a flak jacket on. He got hit in that last series. Lancaster said about Pronick, if he gets called for holding, there's something wrong.
First down. Alouettes, their own 26. Hand off to Pringle, and once again, the Ticats are waiting with open arms. There's Tiggle and McGriggs. And the going has been tough up the gut for Pringle in this game.
Right now, Calvin Tiggle and Lamar McGriggs are flowing to the football well, and if you're a linebacker in a defense, you have to get good push up front so that you're free. You see, Calvin Tiggle has no one blocking him. He can just flow to the football, and that's because Mike Philbrick and Willie Whitehead are doing their job.
Second and long. There's a whistle. Ham stopped, and looked like some confusion there as he's sacked by McGriggs. And Dave Ritchie comes out onto the field to try to mediate that one.
I think Ham was the only one in the building that knew this play was going to be stopped.
Well, he gave up on his drop back and then started to play again when everybody else kept rushing.
There was a whistle in the stands. This play will be replayed. Security to this side, please.
Now, that's not good sportsmanship.
Well, and the thing is if it happens again, Hamilton can get a penalty for it.
Somewhere.
So Rob Hitchcock, the safety for the Hamilton defense, just looked at the stadium fans and just waved his arms not to do it again. He knows that his team can be penalized.
Now the Alouettes are pointing up behind their bench right into the crowd a few rows up, pointing at a fan who they say has the whistle. There's Peyton fingering the whistle artist here at Ivor Wynn, and security is on its way. There he is, the man with the whistle, and it looks like he's being ejected. And he pays the price with 9:53 to go in the opening half. And his East final is over for him. Tracy Ham looking to the sidelines as they get set to call their second and long situation. Mike Pringle has only 27 yards and 7 carries so far. The fans resort to booing. Strong arms it to Armstrong, in and out of his hands, incomplete with close cover from Steinauer.
Well, it's interesting when Chris Armstrong was talking yesterday about the dilemma he had with the Hamilton halfbacks and Gerald Vaughan and Alonda Steinauer. Said they're different style of halfbacks. With Steinauer, you got to run routes against him because he's going to play off you and just play the football. With Gerald Vaughan, he's going to be physical with you. Two different styles. It makes it a little tougher on the slot back.
Baker's average down to 38, having punted into the wind. This one taken by Bobby Olive at his own 40, across the 50-yard line, and he's brought down by Bull Duke and Hensey Charles. It's 15-0, Tiger Cats. The Tiger Cats allowed a league low of 15 sacks on Danny McManus this year after leading the league with 54 last year, and it has to do with this, the quick release.
Absolutely. Danny McManus, quickest release in the business. 3 steps, throw the football. Couple steps back and deliver the ball. Look at the defensive line. They can't get there. They can't even get 3-4 yards up the field before Danny McManus has released it, and it frustrates you up front.
Danny Mac, the quick silver trigger, and he's frustrating the likes of Alfred Payton, who can't get close with his timing patterns. Into the wind. The ball on the 50-yard line of the Tiger Cats. McManus already 8 of 11. Passing for Hamilton. This pass was intended for Darren Flutie and almost looked like the wind blew that one right into the turf.
Darren Flutie gets the option to decide what he wants to run a lot of times, and Danny McManus has to decide on the fly basically if he's going to turn out or turn in. And even though they have great chemistry every now and then, one goes one way when the other one's thinking the opposite. Could that make sense?
You got to have great trust between your quarterback and receiver, because as you mentioned, there are so many options on a pass pattern. It's so much more complicated than 15-20 years ago when you ran a post and you stayed on that route and the quarterback knew where you were going. Doug Peterson now leading the game for the Alouettes, and that's a worrisome sight.
Well, it's big for Montreal because, I mean, this is huge because Tom Hips is the backup defensive lineman, and he is already banged up.
Hips did not play in week 12 after suffering a concussion and having headaches. He hurt his hip and missed week 18. And this man, Steve Charbonneau, had to replace him. Charbonneau in the game at right tackle. 2nd and 10, Tiger Cats. McManus has Bobby Olive open, but Olive tried to double back and may have put himself short of the first down marker at the 50-yard line as Douglas Kraft made the tackle.
What a throw, and great sight lines by Danny McManus. He has great sight lines to go. Now, Bobby Olive has to turn around, loses about a yard, and will be about that much short of the first down.
So it'll be 3rd down and about the length of the football. Bobby Olive having a great year. The Tiger Cats at the wideout spot coming back onto the roster in place of Chris George after missing week 18. The Cats are going for it. The handoff. Ronald Williams has the first down as he's stacked up across the 50-yard line of the Alouettes. Mike Pringle looking on from the sideline.
Sorry, Mike. It was a pretty safe gamble for Ron Lancaster when you consider you're basically less than a yard at midfield. You got Ron Williams in the backfield, and you got a backup in there at defensive line because Doug Peterson is out of it. So, see, first round draft pick Tim Fleiser going in there to lead the way.
I don't know. Ronald Williams doesn't look healthy. He was limping after that play. Williams blocking on this one. They give it to Archie Amerson in a gaping hole. Amerson right through the middle of the hash marks. Finally tracked down from behind by Alfred Payton. And now he's, I don't know what he's doing. He's kind of mocking the Montreal bench after that 28-yard pickup.
Well, it's a change-up because Ron Williams had been pounding it up in the running game, and he's a physical guy, and then you got the quick guy in Archie Amerson, and he hits the hole, and then it's one-on-one in the open field, and hey, that's a tough situation. It makes both Torrey Hunter and Tom Europe miss.
Archie Amerson, the first man over 2,000 yards all-purpose since Derek McAdoo in 1989. There's Flutie. He's got it, and drilled out of bounds by Torrey Hunter at the 5-yard line.
Flutie ran what's called the wheel route. You go to the outside and then go right down the sidelines. Both wide receivers and Bobby Olive went down into the post pattern and took the defensive backs, and this ball comes right down to Flutie on the sideline, who had gone out, and then right down towards the end zone. Torrey Hunter gets there late.
Darren Flutie now with 100 yards receiving on 6 catches in the first half. First down and goal to go. Tiger Cats at the 5. The handoff to Amerson. Tries to get outside. Swift Birch contains him for little or no gain. Help on the play from Brian Clark. How about Darren Flutie? 6 catches, 100 yards. His brother Doug playing up the highway in Buffalo against New England in the NFL this afternoon at Rich Stadium, and there are reportedly Bills scouts in the building having a look at Darren after he has been played up big by Doug this year to the coaching staff in Buffalo. 2nd and 5 yards to go. 2nd and goal. Tiger Cats. McManus to throw, and it's out of bounds, and there was a lot of pushing and shoving in that secondary. Incomplete for McManus, and the field goal unit comes on the field for Hamilton.
It almost looked like Danny McManus was trying to decide between Darren Flutie and Bobby Olive, kind of threw it in between the two of them.
And McManus apparently looked like he threw it behind him on the play. And so the drive stalls at the 5-yard line for McManus and the Tiger Cats. Osbaldiston setting up this sharp angle field goal attempt from the 12-yard line. Good on 82% of his field goal attempts this year. Osbaldiston is good. And the Tiger Cats, before their frenzied fans, run it up to 18-0 here in the second quarter.
It's closer than you think, and it begins with Grey Cup Saturday, the greatest Grey Cup ever played. You voted for it. Wait and see what game you've picked. CFL on CBC, countdown to kickoff next Sunday. It begins at 3:30 Eastern Time. And then the 86th Grey Cup game itself, Sunday, kickoff at 5 o'clock Eastern.
First accounts to be settled here in the East and West. Play action, Ham dumps it off to Michael Souls, his first catch of the game, and he's across center field for a Montreal first down, a 21-yard pass and run from Michael Souls.
That's the tendency breaker for the Montreal Alouettes, and what they do is they'll just throw this in every now and then to keep the defense honest. They run it out of the same formation that they run the ball to Mike Pringle, but this time they fake it to him and just find Souls out there, and usually he's uncovered.
First down across center field. Ham in the shotgun. Finds Matt Cody in the flats, but he can't escape the Hamilton secondary. Derek Greer makes first contact on Matt Cody. Don't write the Alouettes off yet.
Well, no, especially when you have a guy like Matt Cody and Chris Armstrong at the inside receiver positions. They're explosive receivers that can break it at any time.
Now the Alouettes go away from Pringle, who's had only 27 yards on 7 carries. Don't forget, though, this offense usually starts slow, and Pringle usually doesn't break free until the second half when he wears down the defense. Now he gets the call. Up the middle, and some yardage, some real estate for Pringle now. A first down. Just shy of the Hamilton 40. Justin Ring makes the tackle as Danny Mack stays warm on the Hamilton bench.
Well, sometimes it's all you have to do to throw in a couple of those plays like that drop pass or that pass to Michael Souls. You throw in that one, they're trying to scramble to figure out exactly how to get out there and cover down on each receiver.
And with time going deep for Cody, he's open! He dropped the ball! That was so close! Matt Cody had a moment, and then it was gone as he hit.
Well, the ball was right there. Matt Cody had to lay out to try and come up with it. Looked like he had it.
Now, is that a fumble? Is that the turf making contact?
Well, we take one more look at it right here. Now, it looked like he had it in the air. Then back to the West semifinal, and Rod Harris had a catch very similar.
Very questionable. Now, 2nd and 10, Montreal. Ham passing again. Complete to Jock Climie for a first down. Eric Carter tackling Climie after a 14-yard catch, his second of the game.
Well, right now Tracy Ham's got good balance in this drive. He's got the ball running a little bit to Mike Pringle. He's gone deep to stretch the defense. When you do that, the underneath patterns open up a little bit.
Chance to stop the run. They're daring Ham to complete his passes. And that one is way over the head of Davis, but there's a flag on the play in the secondary.
Tyree Davis and Chris Armstrong sort of did what's called like a little rub out there.
And so the Alouettes will regroup on their first promising drive of the first half. Matt Cody still smarting after having what he thought was a touchdown disallowed.
Well, here it is again, and Matt Cody has control there. He's going down. He's been touched now. The ground can't make you fumble, and if you're touched, I mean, that looks like a completion to me.
Alouettes, 2nd and 10. To Hamilton, 27. Ham far sideline, and he overthrows a wide-open Jock Climie. It's 3rd down and a field goal situation for Terry Baker.
Tracy Ham is very disappointed at himself for overthrowing that one because right now he's got that Hamilton defense a bit off balance.
Second overthrow on that drive. The first one over Davis's head, and that one way over Jock Climie's head. And we talked about the wind swirling at this end of the stadium. It can affect the ball.
Well, London Steinhauer was confused on the play. He had Climie and just missed him.
Leading scorer in the CFL this year, Terry Baker, 203 points. Sets up from the 34. Straight down the middle. It's good. Terry Baker, who scored all 22 of Montreal's points on the last weekend of the regular season in a 22-11 win, has the Owls' first points of the East Final.
Whatever your game, there's one place you'll always score big. Canadian Tire. Still the right place to do it.
So a big blow for the Alouettes, who looked like they were going to close the gap significantly, trailing 18-3 on the field goal with just 2.5 minutes to go in the first half.
No, but they did come away with points. And that's very important. And you think back to that gamble. Too big now as the game wears on.
First down, hand off to Ronald Williams, who was getting some attention on the Tie-Cat bench during that Montreal drive, has been limping and is favoring his hamstring. Hips with the tackle.
He limps when he gets up out of the pile, and then he runs hard. So the adrenaline keeps you going in games like this. And, of course, Tom Hips has to go into the lineup for Doug Peterson.
There's Peterson. Dave Ritchie says he's the best defensive lineman in the CFL, Canadian or American. But he's out right now and out of service for the Alouettes. With time across the middle, Emerson is open and has the ball for a first down. Mark Washington making the tackle, the nickelback for the Alouettes. Let's go down to the sidelines, and here's Caroline Corey.
Yes, Mark, Doug Peterson is on the Alouette bench. He felt something pop in his calf, his left calf, a couple of series ago. The doctor has confirmed that he indeed has pulled something in that calf. They're busily trying to tape him up and get him back on the field, but we're still waiting for that to happen, Mark.
Well, tough luck for Doug Peterson. And now Baron Miles, the outstanding rookie, in fact the East nominee for Rookie of the Year, is leaving the game.
He got caught up in the pick when Archie Emerson caught that pass. I believe he ran into Torrey Hunter, his own teammate. He'll have to leave for 3 plays.
First down, Tiger Cats. Their own 50-yard line. The handoff to Ronald Williams, who continues to pound the ball and meet strong resistance from that Alouette defensive line.
Baron Miles tried to get back on the field there and was told that he has to stay off for 2 more plays, and that means that Mark Washington, the nickel, will have to go out there and he'll have the task of covering Darren Flutie in this 2nd and long situation.
And that'll be interesting now that they're forced out of the nickel package with the loss of Miles. Do they go to the air here? 2nd and long, 2nd and 8. Bobby Olive, wide left. Nobody in the backfield except McManus. And the ball is knocked down by Alfred Payton, who said, if I can't get to McManus in this game, I'm going to put my arms up and block his passes. And he's done that well this year with 7 knockdowns.
Absolutely. Get your hands up if you can't get pressure, and he does that, knocks the ball down, and he should get the thank you from Mark Washington, because Darren Flutie ran the out on Washington and was open on the sideline. McManus tried to go to him, but Alfred Payton stopped it before it got out there.
Payton with big pressure last week against Kerwin Bell and the Argonauts, looking for his first sack in this football game, and comes down with his first knockdown. Osbaldiston standing at about his 39-yard line. Tyree Davis, the lone man back for the Alouettes. Good punt into the wind, then it's held up by the wind. Davis has it on a very dangerous catch and has quickly stacked up a 26-yard punt into the wind and a 7-yard return for Davis. Dave Ritchie doesn't look too happy with the proceedings so far for the Alouettes. Coming up right after the East final, of course, it's the West final. The Eskimos and the Stampeders.
Of course it is, right? Edmonton, Calgary, and the Western final. Could there be any other way?
Just the way it was designed to be. Pass is complete by Tracy Ham to Matt Cody. Short of the first down, Orlando Steinauer the tackle.
Well, now, I mean, the Montreal offense is behind, and obviously you got to throw the ball a little bit more when you get behind, but I like the last series when Tracy Ham kept the Hamilton defense off balance with a little bit of run and a little bit of pass.
2nd and 4. Ham with time across the middle. Jock Climbey is open as Ham finds a seam and a first down. Rob Hitchcock on the tackle as the Alouettes move the ball across center field. 56 seconds to go in the opening half. Coming up at halftime, Pinball Clemens and Danny Barrett standing by live with their first half analysis, and then Glenn and I will look at the highlights of the first half and a preview of the West final, Calgary and Edmonton. Another completion to Climbey, and it looks like another first down for the Alouettes. Steinauer again making the tackle on Jock Climbey, who's finding room inside that Hamilton secondary.
Well, the reason he is because Hamilton's playing a lot of zone defense, so Climbey is one of the smartest receivers in the game. He'll just find the hole and settle down.
45 seconds to play in that half. Climbey now with 55 yards on 4 catches. Crowd getting louder. Ham with a big drive here late in the half. Try to close the gap on Hamilton. He's going to run. Bumps into Okeke. And Floyd forces him into the Hamilton bench, shy of the first down. Very close to the 35. Well within field goal range.
Tracy Ham wanted to go to Matt Cody on the play, but he got jammed up by Gerald Vaughn to the play side. He couldn't see him there, so he had to go back. And, you know, Ham is going to go have a talk with Azuma Okeke and say, listen, I'm trying to beat all the other guys. I don't want to have to beat you. Here's Cody, and he gets jammed by Gerald Vaughn. Can't get open. That's why Ham has to take off.
Big play. 2nd and long. Alouettes with 37 seconds to go in the opening half. Looking for a touchdown. Ham across the middle. And it's in and out of the hands of Chris Armstrong. It looked like the intended receiver was Steinauer right over top of his shoulders. Hit him right in the numbers.
Well, yeah, it was a low throw by Ham, but it had to be because Steinauer was closing in a hurry from the backside. The crossing pattern, the toughest one in the game to cover if you're a defensive back. He goes around Justin Ring, and now it's a race. Steinauer tries to get to the ball. It's thrown low. Really a catch that Chris Armstrong should have come up with.
so another field goal situation for Terry Baker. Lance Funderburk pinning it at the 45. Baker, lots of leg. It's good. The Alouettes failed to score a touchdown in the final week of the regular season against this tough Ticat defense. And once again, Hamilton holds Montreal to a field goal with the win.
And you can see some concern, though, on Ron Lancaster's face, because even though he has the lead, he hasn't moved the football the last couple of times out there. And the momentum is slowly creeping back to the Montreal sideline, and he doesn't want to keep him around. He has a chance to bury him.
Ron Lancaster 7-6 in playoff competition with the Eskimos in his first East final as a head coach in the CFL. Tracy Ham finally getting something going on offense for the Alouettes. Ronald Williams, sore hamstring and all, runs right through the heart of that Montreal defense for a first down before Swift Birch brings him down. Didn't practice last week. Did some running.
Well, yeah, because Hamilton had the bye. He actually didn't practice for 2 weeks. Ron Williams just going to run off the left side of that line and running right over Tom Hips, who's in and replacing Doug Peterson.
Danny McManus now running the clock down, 5 seconds and ticking. And as time elapses in the opening half, McManus takes a knee, and the Tiger Cats are in control, leading the Alouettes 18-6. Here's Steve.
Thank you, Mark. Ron Lancaster and the Ticats head to the dressing room here at Ivor Wynn. They were in control in this first half, and if you're a Ticat fan, you've got to be happy with what you saw. If you're a Montreal fan, you got to be concerned that the Alouettes are struggling big time. Now let's get a few thoughts from our game day analysts in our Eastern Final. Mike Pinball Clemens of the Argos and Danny Barrett, the coach and backup quarterback with the BC Lions. First to you, Pinball. Your thoughts on the first half here in Hamilton?
Well, I think the obvious story is that we're going to have Flutie Flakes of the Darren style here north of the border here. Flutie's been the story early on this game, but the great Canadians have also been part of this story. Jock Climby's made a lot of key catches. So has Mike Moriarty. Not only made a big catch that led on to points, but also drew an interference call. Great Canadians also making a difference. The turnover that was and the one that wasn't. The recovery by Rob Hitchcock of a fumble by his own guy, Bobby Olive, on a punt return that he recovered. They eventually scored a touchdown on that 2 plays later. Huge. The turnover that was, Tracy Ham going for it on 3rd and 2, didn't make it.
Danny Barrett, to you in Calgary, is Montreal that bad or Hamilton that good?
I think Hamilton's come out with great emotion. Again, just piggybacking on what Pinball said there, the game plan to utilize Darren Flutie's ability. They're doing a great job. You see McManus throwing the football well. Again, 3rd and 3, 35-yard line with the wind at your back. Probably go for the field goal, try to take the point. So right now, I look at that as the big play of the first half. But Montreal did a good job there at the end to get some points. So we'll see what happens in the second half. It's going to be a good second half.
Danny, did you get the sense that maybe the momentum had shifted to Montreal late in that first half?
I think it did. I think it started when they stopped them at the goal line there where Hamilton had to go for 3 points as opposed to a touchdown. That was huge for them, and I think they started to get some emotion going on the sideline. Their offense started to get the ball to Pringle. He had a big run there. And now let's see what happens in the second half. Can they carry it over to try to finish the job in which they just started?
Very well said, Danny. I think a big key here, too, was Hamilton's ability to control the football against the wind. Montreal was getting something going. They just wasn't able to get the ball back in the hands of their offense. It stalled on 1 or 2 occasions, but they couldn't get the ball back. Hamilton controlled the ball, whereas Montreal wasn't able to move the football at all against the wind. I think the wind might be the MVP of the first half.
Mike Clemens and Danny Barrett, thanks for your thoughts, and time permitting, we may come back to you at the end of this game here in Hamilton. We're at halftime, and so far it has been all the Ticats. They lead the Montreal Alouettes by a count of 18-6. We're at the half here in Hamilton, where the Ticats lead the Montreal Alouettes by a score of 18-6. The second half of our playoff doubleheader today features the Western Final in Calgary between the Stampeders and Eskimos. Here's Scott Russell.
Steve, McMahon Stadium in Calgary, site of the Battle of Alberta. 6 times already in the 90s, the Stamps and Eskimos have met with a chance to go to the Grey Cup. The series stands at 3 apiece. There are so many characters in the trenches, including outstanding linebackers Alondra Johnson of Calgary and Willie Pless of Edmonton. These two guys never actually go head-to-head, but they wage war in spirit.
I don't deal with Alondra, but he's a great ball player. He's a great athlete, and you can't take anything away from him. He's their guy that make the plays, and they depend on him a lot to do those things. And I give him a lot of credit, and he's been playing some good ball.
He's a smart ball player. He knows how to put himself in position to make plays. He's very aware of what's going on around him and who's around him. And as a person, he's a great guy. He's a real nice person. I like him as a friend. He's not. I don't have any animosity toward him. I'm sure he don't have any towards me because we do have something in common. We're both pretty damn good linebackers.
Still a bit foggy here at McMahon. We hope it clears up by game time. We follow the Owls and the Ticats, 4 Eastern, 2 Mountain. Steve, back to you.
Thank you, Scott. The second half of our playoff doubleheader today, Edmonton and Calgary, another Battle of Alberta. Here at Ivor Wynne Stadium in Hamilton, the Ticat fans have had plenty to cheer about. Their team leads 18-6. All this week on CBC at midnight local time, the Grey Cup Classics, including the only game decided in overtime, 1958, Hamilton and Winnipeg. Next Saturday, Grey Cup Saturday, a special replay of the greatest game of all time. You, the fans, have picked it. That begins at 1 p.m. Countdown to kickoff on Sunday with Brian Williams. A look back at 91, the last time Winnipeg hosted the Grey Cup, and that begins at 2:30 Eastern Time. Now let's go up to the booth and get some first half highlights from this Eastern Final. To the guys.
Thanks a lot, Steve. Glenn, off the top of the broadcast, we talked about that playoff chemistry between McManus and Flutie, and that storyline is playing out in this football game with Flutie 100 yards receiving and a touchdown already.
Yeah, and they did it under an interesting formation. Darren Flutie in the backfield, and they won't be able to use it all game, but it definitely worked in the first half, and it got him a 14-point lead. Darren Flutie was the #1 target for Danny McManus throughout the first half, like you mentioned when you talk about his yardage, and right now they've taken advantage of it. Now Montreal will make adjustments to the formation, but you know that Danny McManus will continue to go to Darren Flutie. Here's the first touchdown by Darren Flutie, but the Hamilton defense has also come up big. Tracy Ham thought he got a blitz on this play and was picked off by Lamar McGriggs. That set up a touchdown. Archie Amerson has been running the ball effectively out of the backfield, and this was that Ron Williams touchdown after the Lamar McGriggs interception. So right now Hamilton has them a little off balance, but Montreal did get something going late in the second half. Jacques Climby's been a big part of that. He's had some big catches to try and get them a little momentum back, and they came away with a couple of field goals late.
The wind, as we expected, has been a factor. The Tiger Cats have scored 15 of their points with the wind. Montreal just 6, and Hamilton won the toss at the start of this game, elected to defer until the second half. You know they'll take that wind in the fourth quarter.
No question, they're going to take the wind in the fourth and try and hang on and try and get some momentum when they're against the wind in the third. But right now, Tracy Ham has to go back to the game plan, get Pringle back involved, go to that play-action game.
And Pringle's usually at his best in the second half. Steve?
Thank you, Mark. Lots of Oski Wee Wee here at Ivor Wynne Stadium in Hamilton. The Ticats leading the Alouettes, second half just ahead.
Oski Wee Wee, eat 'em raw. And so far, that's what they're doing in Hamilton. The Ticats leading the Alouettes 18-6 as we get set to start the third quarter. Some developments, I'm sure, during halftime in both locker rooms. Let's go down to Caroline.
Well, that's right, Mark. As far as the Alouettes room was concerned, they were pretty relaxed at halftime. Albert Creighton told me that nobody's panicking yet. They've moved the ball in that first half. They got some points on the board. They're a veteran team, and Peyton feels they can come back. Mark?
Mike Pringle traditionally has been held in many games this season to about 30 yards in the first half, and then boom, he's well over 100 by the end of the game because that constant pounding he brings takes a toll on defenses. We'll see if that plays out in this game as Paul Osbaldiston gets set to kick off into the wind. The Tiger Cats taking the wind in the fourth quarter of this football game. Ball bounces to Haskins, who one-hands it at the 25, right through the middle with a burst of speed and a dangerous-looking return, a 53-yard kickoff and a 21-yard return from Haskins. Joe Montfort, the tackle.
Well, that was what you talked about in the first half. Only 52 yards rushing total. And remember, Tracy Ham took off and ran a couple times for Montreal. So they'll likely go back to the running game. And because Ham has had some success throwing to Jock Climby and a couple times to Matt Cloney, Charlie Tapp knows that will help to open up the running game a little bit for him.
Alouettes have got to get something going with the wind here in the third quarter. Didn't get a first down until the second quarter when they got the wind. There's Mike Soles out of the backfield. Lamar McGriggs tries to strip the ball but misses, and Soles crosses the first down marker for a gain of 11.
Back to that same formation. This is what they run the ball out of. Mike Soles makes it look like he's going to block Joe Mumford and then just releases into the flat, and Lamar McGriggs gets picked a little bit and is late getting there.
First down and a crisp way to start the second half for the Alouettes. Ball at their own 54. Hands off to Mike Pringle, and he runs into traffic. Justin Ring among the tackles, along with Willie Whitehead and Calvin Tiggle.
We just saw Mike Soles catch the ball, but Mike Soles may be the best blocking fullback in the game. I mean, he led up in that time and really sealed Calvin Tiggle so that Mike Pringle could pick up the yardage that he did.
Soles, the blocking back for Pringle, who has 40 yards now on 9 carries. Ham to pass. High again over Davis's head, and Eric Carter gives him a shot and then gestures to the crowd.
There was some question as to whether or not Eric Carter should return to the lineup. He was injured over a month ago. He missed 3 games, and there was some question as to whether or not his right knee was healthy. Ryan Lancaster just did one simple thing with the veteran. He said, listen, you've been in the league a long time. You're a veteran. Can you play or not? Are you healthy? He said, I'll shut him down. And he's been doing that here today.
Carter celebrating, but Davis may have had that ball. Better hands. Bobby Olive is back to receive this punt, along with Steinauer. Baker angles it to the corner. Steinauer lets it go out at the 1-yard line. Great punt from Baker, putting it out of the 1-yard line, a 48-yard hoof.
And if you're wondering how a punter can give you momentum, well, that is how. That is a super kick with the wind at his back. And Paul Osbaldiston did it in the first half when Hamilton was dominating in field position. And now watch this kick. With the wind at your back, it's tough to control. We talked about it, and he puts that one out on the 1.
Like Steinauer maybe thought that was going to go out and let a single.
Well, that's what you want to do. If you're returning it, you're hoping you get the bounce. It bounces into the end zone. You give up the single, and you get the better field position.
And so the game of field position favoring Montreal now with the Ticats on their own 1 into the wind. Handoff. Williams, and he's twisted up. Gets as far as maybe the 4-yard line. Alfred Payton, the tackle.
And now this is a situation that the Montreal defense wants to be in. Alfred Payton making sure that he gets the call, not on that play, because he knows he's not going to get any call on the play that's gone, but on the next one.
Payton was saying the other day that the Tiger Cats leave him unblocked in run situations. His pursuit is to contain McManus on the rollout. That time he peeked and went in and made the tackle. Doug Peterson is out for the rest of the game at tackle with a pulled calf muscle. Completion and a big hit close to the first down marker on the sidelines. That's Archie Amerson holding on.
Archie Amerson took the big hit from Irv Smith, and Danny McManus paid the price to deliver it. Tracy Gravely was hitting him, and on the other side, Irv Smith put the lumber on Archie Amerson, but he still came up with the catch, and they'll measure it.
Amerson with 750 yards receiving this year and 5 touchdowns for the Tiger Cats. But the Alouettes have no more backups along that defensive line. With Peterson out, Hips and Charbonneau will go the rest of the way as Dave Buell signals the Hamilton first down, and that's a key so deep in their own territory.
This doesn't happen very often. Tracy Gravely on a bit of a stunt. Danny McManus right in the back as he delivers that pass to Archie Emerson.
Dave Ewell right there and ruling that was not a late hit.
Nah, that's fair.
First down, Tiger Cats. McManus handing off to Emerson, and he's stuffed.
But it's a big first down for Hamilton because right now, even if they don't get the first down in this next set of downs here, they still can punt the ball away and all his balls, and it doesn't have to stand 10 yards deep in his end zone to do it. So it was a key first down to Hamilton to just get out of the shadow of the goalpost.
Right now, the Tiger Cats are also eating up the clock. Time that the Alouettes would dearly love to have with the win. Second and long. McManus passing situation, has time. Corner route, complete! Mike Morielli has it. Looked over one shoulder, then over the other, and hauls in a 20-yard catch.
Exactly. A great adjustment when the ball was in the air by Mike Morielli. Again, he's working on Torrey Hunter. Torrey Hunter's not having a good game. Now watch the reaction. You're going to get a great look at it. A little post move now. Mike Morielli's going to look over the inside shoulder first. The ball is thrown to the outside. He has to make the adjustment. Comes up with the catch. And a big first down and big yardage for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. That's not easy.
Big league catch for the Hamiltonian Morelli. Pump fake. Complete to Bobby Olive. Douglas Kraft biting on the pump, giving Olive just enough room to get behind him.
Well, Alfred Payton has just kicked the ball. This is the play. It's an out-and-out little hook and go from Bobby Olive. He comes up with a catch, hangs on as he's going out of bounds. And Alfred Payton, after that was over, kicked the ball about 40 yards and didn't get a penalty for it.
Very close to staying in bounds. A 27-yard reception for Bobby Olive. Handoff. Big Ronald Williams, a flag on the play as he rumbles close to the first down marker again. Alouette defender strewn on the field in his wake as Payton again makes the tackle. Holding is the call against the Tiger Cats.
And Montreal looked surprised that they were going to get that call.
Holding, Hamilton 57. First down repeated.
First penalty of the game against the Tiger Cats.
Bell St. Germain right there gets a holding on Stephon Reed. Kind of turns him to the outside.
Now there were bodies flying everywhere on that play up the gut. St. Germain back at his guard position after sitting out week 18. Draw play, and Ronald Williams is caught by Reed right at the line of scrimmage.
I am still very surprised that Alfred Payton did not get a penalty for kicking the football. I mean, there were two passes in a row, one to Morielli, one to Bobby Olive, and Alfred Payton turned around, kicked the ball, he hit Brian Clark with it, and then kicked it again about 40 yards away from the official, and there was no flag on the play.
Payton has been a hothead at times in this game. Second and 10. McManus in the shotgun formation. Across the middle, it's complete again to Morielli for another first down. Tom Europe, the safety, finally tackles Morielli after a 20-yard gain. And the Cats are going right into the teeth of this win.
Morielli sees a blitz coming and makes a nice adjustment. Sees Torrey Hunter fly to the outside, so he just turns it back to the middle and gets Byron Miles going the wrong way. Great pickup on the blitz. Tommy Europe dropping back into the middle, trying to help out Byron Miles. He's going to try and come up in there and make the tackle. It was a great pickup at the line of scrimmage by the Hamilton Tiger Cats to allow Danny McManus to throw that football.
Morielli began the season at about 230 pounds. He dropped 20 pounds over the course of the regular season. He's now playing at 210, and he says that's allowed him to be more elusive. 6'3", a big target. First season for him over 1,000 yards. Third down gamble, and it's good for the Tiger Cats. 8.5 minutes to go in the third quarter as Lancaster's game plan continues to work marvelously into the wind.
Well, that's the key, into the wind. They are churning up a ton of time when they have the wind at their face.
And if you're on that Alouette bench and you're an offensive player, this is hard to watch. Almost half of the third quarter is gone.
Yeah, especially when you consider, they're going to take a measure on this, but especially when you consider that 2 of the plays in this drive were passes from Danny McManus into the wind, and he threw strikes.
McManus completed 57% of his passes this season. A new team record, breaking Tom Clement's old mark. You see they'll push from that big O line.
Yeah, that's who gets lowest, and Hamilton got lowest on that play.
1,500 pounds of hogs on that Hamilton O-line. First down. Oh, and a big hit from Payton, who has been strong against the run.
Well, Alfred Payton decided that he wasn't going to worry about contain, and he was going to come up and make a play. And that's what the great players will do. Sometimes you can call it a gamble, or you call it whatever you want, but this is just great pursuit angle and hit Ron Williams right in the backfield. Sometimes you're the bug and sometimes you're the windshield. That time, Alfred Payton was the windshield and Ron Williams was the bug.
Tiger Cats have eaten up more than 5 minutes of this third quarter on this drive alone. But Payton better watch out. He's setting himself up for the bootleg. There's that screen pass to Darren Flutie. And this time the Owls were all over it. Swift Birch takes him down.
Well, this is one of the wrinkles they put in the first half. Darren Flutie out of the backfield to run the screen. But it can't work forever. It's a wrinkle for the playoff game. It got him a 14-point lead, basically. But now Montreal at halftime can make adjustments. Swift Birch just reads this one, sniffs it out, and is in the backfield. Darren Flutie has nowhere to run.
Now Paul Osbaldiston setting up to punt across the 50-yard line. He hit one from 42 yards out in the warm-ups, but this one outside his range. In the cold weather, he says, his range drops by 7 or 8 yards. Haskins, the lone man back, as Ozzie shanks one out of bounds at the 16-yard line. So finally, the Alouettes will get the ball back on offense with 6:52 to go. Welcome back to Ivor Wynne Stadium in Hamilton, where the Tiger Cats holding on to an 18-6 lead over the Alouettes. And Drew Schuldice, if you're watching on from Ottawa, our thoughts are with you. We understand that you're ill and enjoyed your work over the years in Ottawa as a statistician and a timekeeper, and our thoughts are with you and your family right now. First down, 10 to go, Alouettes at their own 16-yard line. Pringle gets the call, and there's lots of traffic again, and a short gain for the Alouettes. Justin Ring, the Hamilton linebacker, with the tackle on Pringle, who has not been explosive in this game so far.
Well, Justin Ring and Calvin Tiggle are doing a nice job of staying in the box. They're not letting formation get them out of there. They're first down, they're concerned about the run.
Second down, 6. Ham scrambling for his life. Will run. And is very close to the first down. It pays a big price from Justin Ring. Ham playing with a chronically injured left knee. And every run, you know that Dave Ritchie is crossing his fingers.
Well, yeah, he's got to be worried about, of course, Tracy Ham re-injuring that knee. He's going to take off and run here, but he's in the hurry-up offense right now, and the reason being he's got the wind at his back. The Hamilton drive, although they didn't come away with points, churned up 6 minutes, more than 6 minutes of the third quarter when they were facing the wind. So Tracy Ham wants to try and get something going and get some points in a hurry.
It's a first down for Tracy Ham, Dave Ritchie, and the Alouettes. 6:06 to go in the third quarter. Not one of their more prolific quarters over the course of the season, but they're going to need to be big here with the wind at their back. Ham back to pass. Across the middle, it's complete to Jock Climie for another first down. Orlando Steinauer, the coverage and the tackle.
They'll continue to stay in that hurry-up. A lot of people thought that by moving Jock Climie out to the outside receiver, it was taking him out of the offense. It really isn't. he can find holes from out there and use the speed guys inside to stretch the defense.
16-yard pickup for Climby. He has 6 catches for 71 yards so far in this game. Ham straight back to pass. Some time. Makes up his mind, looks for Cody, and it's high again. But the 4th pass, Ham, has been high with a man open and pressure from Floyd on that play.
Yeah, you can't fault Tracy Ham. I mean, he has overthrown some receivers, but you can't on this play because it was like a minefield back there in the pocket. He wanted to go to the right to Pringle crossing, but he was picked up. So now it was just like guys all over him, and he tried to just throw that one out there. And Gonzalo Floyd, part of it, working on the Zumo. KK gets to the outside. He flushes Ham up into the middle. He had to throw it out over the hands.
Big play for Ham, 2nd and 10. Wide side of the field. He goes back to Jock Climby and another first down. Eric Carter pushes Climby out of bounds across center field. And what a story he's been this year. Taking his bar exams in Ottawa, commuting back and forth to Montreal to play football. In fact, he writes his 6th bar exam on Monday, tomorrow.
Really amazing that he's able to concentrate and be focused like he is and ready to play this game like he is, but he's having a great one.
83 yards receiving for Climby, the Canadian out of Queen's University. Never played in a Grey Cup game in 9 seasons. Hoping this might be his first year. The handoff to Pringle. Head-on contact from Rob Hitchcock. What a collision. Rob Hitchcock, whose father, Phil, a longtime radio broadcaster in Hamilton, is the PA announcer here at Ivor Wynne Stadium, making the call on that big tackle, and there he is.
Well, he must have got excited for his son there because that was a pretty good hit coming up from the safety. That's what Rob Hitchcock's done all season. It's an aggressive safety, lowers his shoulders and stands Pringle up, and that is not easy to do.
Another Hamilton boy making good with the Tiger Cats. That time, they sniffed it out. It's McGriggs all over Pringle for a loss on the play.
This is why this Hamilton defense is tough to play against if you're Montreal, because you don't have to substitute a nickel for Lamar McGriggs because of his quickness. And then when he can stop the run like that, boy, what do you do if you're the Montreal offense?
McGriggs left the last game of the season, Week 18, with a shoulder injury in the first half against Montreal. The 2 weeks rest have done him good. Punting situation for Terry Baker. He's going to fake. No. Now he shanks one on the run. Bobby Olive driven into the Hamilton bench, but decent field position for the Tiger Cats, who go on offense after that 6-yard return.
We're back in Hamilton, and this is really the reason that the Hamilton Tiger Cats and Don Southern, that defense, have the lead so far. We talked about it at the beginning of the game, what it would take. Well, offensively, Pringle, only 50 yards rushing, disrupt the Hamilton receivers, and they're having a day. And then you look down there, success on first down. Montreal wants to get about 7, only getting 5. That's why Hamilton has the lead.
3.5 minutes to go in the third quarter. And the Alouettes with nothing to show for the wind at their backs. Danny Mack and the Ticat offense trying to eat up the clock again. The pitch out to Ronald Williams and a big hole and a first down. Tom Europe, the safety, finally hauls him down across the 40.
You've got to start to wonder when you're on the field, as long as the Montreal defense has been on, Brian Clark trying to do what he can. He gets blocked by Val Saint-Germain, and big Carl Coulter, the center, drives him back. Ron Williams has the big bubble to hit. They're getting worn down on that defensive front 7. Tom Hips is in the game for Doug Peterson. We talked about that. He's already banged up. They're starting to wear down.
Looks like a scene from Ben-Hur as Tommy Europe was trampled by the galloping Ronald Williams. Again with a head of speed.
You can see how the line of scrimmage now is starting to move in Hamilton's favor in a big way. On the snap of the ball, they're firing off, and they're pushing that line of scrimmage back 3 or 4 yards. And right now, up front, Steve Charbonneau, Birch, and Hips are just catching.
Charbonneau and Hips having to go the rest of this game side by side. They normally rotate on this defense, but without Doug Peterson, lost to the Alouettes with a calf injury, they'll have to stay in the game together. Shotgun formation. High pass and a big hit into the back of Darren Flutie. That was Tom Europe who was trampled, or rather Miles, Baron Miles, the rookie, walloping Flutie.
Yeah, well, he got caught in the rub. Flutie kind of took advantage of a rub, got to the outside, but he paid for it afterwards, and he blew a tire. He got hit so hard.
Knocked Flutie right out of his shoes. The young rookie from Nebraska, and a measurement on the play.
That's getting hard hit when you get hit right out of your shoes.
And it's a first down as Flutie pays the price to move the yardsticks once again. Let's listen to that contact. Right into the back of Darren Flutie, young Baron Miles, who leads this team in tackles this year, 74 in the course of the regular season. Really asserted himself at that halfback position. Flutie now, though, over 103 yards receiving. And there's Alfred Payton and Swift Birch again tackling Ronald Williams and a helmet off. That's Alfred Payton. Carl Coulter's upset.
Well, Carl Coulter saw Alfred Payton earlier in the game kick the ball and not get a penalty. Now he's saying to the official, at what point is the Alfred Payton showboating going to cost them a penalty? He's up there saying, well, what about the delay in game?
Remember, Carl Coulter was stepped on right on his face mask by Torrey Hunter in the final week of the regular season. Torrey Hunter apologized after the game, but Carl Coulter says if he gets a chance to give him a good shot on special teams today, he'll take it. McManus steps into the pocket, fires, it's complete, and a big first down. The ball's dropped by Andrew Grigg out of bounds. Did the Owls touch it last? Yes! Like Tom Europe may have got his hand on it. It is a Montreal first down as Andrew Grigg fumbles the ball and is knocked out of bounds by the Alouettes. Wind at their backs. We got to get another turnover. And a big play as he knocked that fumbled ball from Andrew Grigg out of touch.
Well, Andrew Grigg, he causes the fumble, then gets up and knocks it out. Big play by Tom Europe.
So the Alouettes go back on offense. Ham straight back to pass. Pressure. Sidesteps Philbrick going deep for Armstrong. It's just out of his reach.
Chris Armstrong will look at this film and he'll say, I stuck my hands out too early. He is wide open. Now, if he just keeps pumping his arms and running, I think he can run under this one, but he sticks his hands, and look at this, he runs about 3 steps with his hands extended. And even then, he was so close. When you extend your arms like that, you can't run as fast. Tracy Ham can't believe how wide open he is, takes a hit from Mumford, but just can't hook up.
And Armstrong, the hero of the semi, has no catches so far in this game, as they decide to pass to Pringle over the middle, and Calvin Tiggle makes a big hit to keep him short of the first down marker and force a third down situation, and about a yard to go.
Dave Ritchie wants to get the measurement, not only to get his group rested a little bit.
Let's go for it. Go. Go for it. We've already blown one third down gamble. The time has run out on the third quarter. The Alouettes will gamble again in their own territory. The ball on the 46-yard line of Montreal. A full yard to go on third down. The crowd standing at Ivor Wynne. Ham backpedals. Pitches it out. And Pringle fumbles out of bounds. Ham already had the first down on that option.
It'll be first down Hamilton.
Is that an illegal forward pass? An incomplete pass?
No, it looked like a lateral backwards to Pringle.
And there's an official down on the field. Time has run out in the third quarter. Time running out on the wind at their backs for the Alouettes. As Ham makes the third down gamble on the option, looks, pitches out after getting the first down to Pringle, who fumbles out of bounds. 18-6, the Tiger Cats holding on to that halftime lead over the Alouettes. Back in Hamilton, where the Alouettes stay on offense, holding onto the ball with a first down after losing the ball out of bounds.
The question was, did Tracy Ham, is this a forward pass or a lateral backwards? And that look, it looks almost forward, but Pringle's running into the screen. If you take another look at it at a different angle, it's definitely backwards. Here it comes right here now. As Ham comes into the screen, right there's Ham. You can see that the angle is backwards to Mike Pringle. And he fumbles it out of bounds, which means it's first down Montreal.
Ball just shy of the Montreal 53-yard line. Ham with time, bails out, will pass, and it's complete again for another first down. Jock Climby. Eric Carter with the tackle. As the Alouettes go into the wind in the fourth quarter, this was the scene in the third.
Well, it's amazing when you look at the time of possession, 10 more minutes basically for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. A lot of that time when they were into the wind. It's amazing that Montreal is still in this football game.
Well, if it weren't for the great fumble, the Cats might still have the football. Jock Climby with 97 yards receiving on 7 catches so far. Montreal threatening into the wind. Here's Pringle, twisting and turning. Mike Philbrook, the defensive tackle, got him by the leg.
Left side of that line is Uno Okeke. Pierre Vercheval doing a nice job kicking out Joe Mumford and Willie Whitehead. That gives a little bit of room for Mike Pringle to hit it up in there, and Justin Ring has to come up and make the tackle.
Mike Philbrook coming back to the Cats one day before the season started, trying to stop Pringle. Here's Ham, second and long, wide side. It's Climby, and he's got the first down, and he's over 100 yards receiving now. Eric Carter again on the tackle.
Jock Climby is having a game. I mean, Jock Climby on the play before the Pringle run worked Eric Carter till he finally provided a target for Tracy Ham. Then he comes back and breaks out and somehow keeps his feet inbounds and gets the first down. He is having a game.
Climby was talking about the sense of urgency yesterday that he and many of these other Owls have at trying to get to the cup. The completion to Davis on that little hook on the far sideline. Eric Carter coming up to make the tackle. They appear to be trying to work Carter underneath.
Well, right now, Hamilton's basically giving us a steady diet of zone defense, which means Carter has to drop off. He's really not in man-to-man covered. His responsibility is to get to the deep third. So as long as he's doing that, Jock Climby and Tyree Davis will just hook up in front of him. They got to switch it up and sometimes roll Carter up.
Second and one, Montreal. Hamilton 22, bootleg. Ham looking for Davis. He's got it. Then he dropped it. Incomplete as Tyree Davis comes back to the ball. The only man on that side of the field that Ham had to look at.
The play was made by Gonzalo Floyd, who was not buying the play-action fake to Mike Pringle, and when Tracy Ham turns around, Floyd is there. Ham wanted to get outside so he could have more space to try and get that ball to Tyree Davis.
Floyd with 4 of his 7 sacks this year against the Alouettes. He rises to the occasion against this Montreal team. It's a third down situation. Another gamble. 1 yard to go. Ham will step up and have the first down across the 20 of Hamilton. And so the Alouettes move the ball for the first time against the wind.
It's very good play on short yardage for Montreal to run this kind of play, because right now the Hamilton defense has got 7 in the box, but they're very tight. When I say in the box, they're really close together. The front 4 and the 3 linebackers are all keyed to stop Pringle up the middle. So if you work it to the outside, you're going to get more room, and that's twice now Montreal has come up with key first downs on it.
And the wind appears to be dying down. Just in the nick of time for Montreal. In the end zone, no good. Tyree Davis is ruled out of bounds.
Well, from our angle right now, you can't tell.
That's the second potential touchdown pass Montreal thought they had. Wiped out as an incompletion.
There's no question he catches the football. very hard to see. You need 1 foot in bounds.
Very close. Matt Cody thought he had a touchdown in the first half.
The Montreal bench thought they had one there.
2nd and 10. At the 19 of Hamilton. Ham flushed out of the pocket by Whitehead. Will throw to the end zone. It's good! Right through the hands of Lamar McGriggs and into Matt Cody's hands for a touchdown.
And Lamar McGriggs is going to get a penalty tacked on, but unbelievable catch for Matt Cody, because that one went right through the hands of Lamar McGriggs.
Unbelievable. It looked like McGriggs may have had the pick. It went right through his hands, and Matt Cody was ready and waiting, getting the touchdown he had called back in the first half.
Mark, the play is made by Tracy Ham because he is caught in the backfield by Willie Whitehead and somehow gets out of there. Looks like the Tracy Ham of old gets to the outside, throwing against his body, finds Matt Cody, and like you said, Lamar McGriggs touched it, but Matt Cody concentrates enough to pick up the catch. So Lamar McGriggs will get the objectionable conduct penalty after the fact, and that'll be tacked on the kickoff.
Huge, huge, huge for field position in Montreal. Baker now with the point after. It's good. And now we've got ourselves a football game. The lead is closed. Hamilton in front of Montreal, 18-13. On this touchdown pass from Tracy Ham with eyes to Matt Cody. Matt Cody breathes life back into the Alouettes with his touchdown reception, 18 yards from Tracy Ham, and it's 18-13 Tiger Cats, and that objectionable conduct penalty against Lamar McGriggs will tee the ball up now at the 45-yard line of Montreal, and so Terry Baker can help with field position here and a good kickoff into the wind, and it's a good one. Taken by Williams at the 15-yard line. Ronald Williams at full speed and is rocked and dropped just shy of the 35-yard line.
Well, Matt Cody on the touchdown, it goes right through Lamar McGriggs' hands, and he is frustrated on the play because you're going to see he thinks he has the interception, goes through his hands, Cody concentrates on it, comes up with the catch. Now, he is going to celebrate, go into his dance here, does a little spin. Now he's going to go dance, and Lamar McGriggs comes into the picture and is going to kick this one out the back of the end zone. Now, he gets the penalty for that. My question is, when Alfred Payton kicked the ball earlier and didn't get the penalty, McGriggs gets it against Hamilton.
Hand off to Williams, and he goes nowhere. You're right, Payton got away twice with what was clearly objectionable conduct, throwing his helmet, kicking the ball, and that time, fortunately for McGriggs, he gets called.
It's given Montreal not only the touchdown, but then the extra field position gives them more momentum.
2nd down and 8. Hamilton at their own 35. Mark Washington into the game. Nickel back defense. McManus looking for Morreale. He dropped the ball. Close coverage from Torrey Hunter, but Morreale had it and had position on Hunter, but couldn't haul it in. And he's upset.
Torrey Hunter kind of reached around. Torrey Hunter has been picked on. I mean, it's going to be the corner route. Just break to the outside. Hunter reaches around with his left hand, but I don't think he really got a piece of that ball. That's one Morreale should have caught. Here's a look at it coming right at you. Hunter's going to reach with his left hand, but I don't think he touches the ball. In fact, he doesn't. That just slips right through the breadbasket.
Morreale won the Grey Cup in '96 as a Toronto Argonaut, playing right here at Ivor Wynn, and now hoping to get to the Grey Cup representing his hometown, the Tiger Cats. Punting situation with the wind for Osbaldiston. Tyree Davis, the lone Alouette, back to receive. He dropped the ball. It's loose! And Davis just gets it back as Walters dove right over top of it. A close call for the Alouettes, who go on offense when we come back. 9:38 to go in the East Final. Coming right up afterwards, it's the West Final from McMahon in Calgary, and they're warming up It's Jeff Garcia and the Calgary Stampeders versus David Archer, sore thumb and all on his passing hand, and the Mystique of the Edmonton Eskimos in the West Final right after the East Final. We're about 45 minutes from kickoff in Calgary. But right now, the score to be settled here, 18-13. Tiger Cats in front, Alouettes on offense on their own 32. Ham handing off to Mike Pringle. And Joe Montford makes the tackle at the line of scrimmage. And a game of football doesn't come much tougher than a game at Ivor Wynn. Joe Montford, the leading sacker in the CFL, with a big play on the run.
Yeah, and one play, he's got the crowd back in it.
2nd and 10. Ham behind his center, Sutherland, and back to pass. Flushed out again by Whitehead. Down the middle, tipped, intercepted by Rob Hitchcock. Kid from Hamilton, Rob Hitchcock, makes the interception, and his dad, Phil, up in the PA booth, makes the announcement to the throng here at Ivor Wynn Stadium.
I believe it was Frank West that's going to cross right in front. No, actually it was Alondo Steinauer, got his hands on the football. It tips up in the air, and the safety, Rob Hitchcock, catches it a couple of times and then secures it for the big turnover.
First down, Tiger Cats. Ronald Williams breaks a tackle. First down and more. Drops the ball. It's out of bounds. And Williams is slow to get up. Tom Europe says that Montreal touched it last.
I think the official signaled Montreal football. But they may change their mind. Bobby Olive ran over there. Grigg was over there.
Now they're moving the yardsticks.
It's going to be Hamilton's ball, but I think the initial signal was for it to be Montreal's ball, and they went over. Darren Flutie went over. Ron Williams down the sideline. He gets caught from behind from Alfred Payton. The question was, did Payton punch it out? But it looked like it may have bounced off Williams and got out of bounds.
A 22-yard gain. Williams now with 93 on the ground. Archie Amerson gets the call, and Stefan Reed and Tracy Gravely drop him immediately at the line of scrimmage.
I mean, the big concern for Hamilton, and the reason they ran over there, was I believe the official ruled it Montreal ball first. Then they talked about it and went the other way. Here's another look at it.
Yes, it went off his knee.
It went off his knee and then bounced out of bounds. No one touched it after that. So Ron Williams was the last guy to touch it, and it was a good thing that the officials changed their mind.
A sigh of relief from Ron Lancaster on the Ticat bench. 2nd down and 10. Hamilton. Time for McManus going deep and nearly intercepted. The ball intended for Mike Morreale, and Torrey Hunter comes up big, closing quickly on that one.
Well, Torrey Hunter, it was the same formation. Darren Flutie out of the backfield. They went back against Torrey Hunter and Morreale. He has seen that corner route about 4 times in the game, and Morreale's caught a couple. He dropped one the previous time, and then this time Hunter says, okay, enough is enough. I have seen this play 4 times. I'm coming underneath it. Very nearly had the interception.
A 43, or rather 38-yard field goal attempt from Paul Osbaldiston. Well within his range with the wind at his back, but it swirls. He's wide right. Osbaldiston perhaps playing the break like a putt in golf. Misses wide to the right for a single, and it's 19-13 Hamilton. Back in Hamilton with a couple of former teammates from the '89 Grey Cup, the champs from Saskatchewan, Glenn Suter and Jeff Fairholm, our spotter here today. And for the first time since '89, the Ticats are hosting the East Final, hoping to get back and work magic and win it this time. And the game of '89, voted the greatest Grey Cup of all time, will be replayed next Saturday as part of our Grey Cup coverage on CBC. Mike Pringle with nowhere to go. Gang tackled by the Tiger Cats, who can't quite get him to the ground. The first man to make contact with Justin Ring.
Well, Hamilton defense is still doing their thing, and they're going to have to, because this was a big miss by Paulus Balduson.
You know, all week he says he's been working in this end of the field, playing the ball about 5 yards wide right because of the huge crosswind, but this time it didn't come back.
No, the wind died, and like you made the golfing analogy, never aimed at trouble.
That's been my problem all along. Complete to Jock Clammy. Sidesteps the tackle and makes a great effort at the first down yard marker. And this will be close.
They're going to say his knee was down. Climby reached up, was close to the first down marker. But the official put his foot down and said his knee touched.
Right now they're marking him about 1.5 yards, close to 2 yards short. Will they gamble again in Montreal?
Well, there's lots of time. I mean, his knee goes down. Gerald Vaughn makes the tackle. There's his knee, and that's where the mark is. They're going to go for it.
Another gamble by the Alouettes. They're 1 for 2. They're standing and out of wind. Ham gives to Pringle. He's got the first down and breaks free. Finally tackled by Rob Hitchcock at the Hamilton 50.
Big football games come down to 1, 2, or 3 plays. Tell you what, that is one of them right there.
And momentum is beginning to swing.
Pierre Virtuval, Zumo KK, pull out there, kick out. And Pringle had tons of room for 17 yards.
What did we say about Pringle in the second half? Less than 5 minutes to go in the football game. A 6-point lead for the Tiger Cats. The Alouettes. Oh! And another drop ball by Chris Armstrong, who's yet to make a catch in this game after 2 big touchdown catches in the East Semi.
Well, he's had a couple of tough ones. I mean, that again was a low throw, and he's had a couple of these, but he's dropped them.
There's some movement on the ball, too. You can see the wind playing tricks with that. It looked a bit like a Phil Niekro knuckleball. And taking a shot after the pass. Another second and long situation for the Alouettes. Sun is now shining. The wind still strong in the face of Tracy Ham. With time, is going to go deep down the sidelines. Davis is open, but can't catch up to the ball. Eric Carter fell on the play.
Well, Montreal wanted a pass interference call. The bench was jumping up and down because Eric Carter was leaning on the back of Tyree Davis. And he hit the ground. Tyree Davis opened up, but it was enough to slow him down so he couldn't run underneath this one. Ham has lots of time. He goes to his 4th receiver. You see Carter on the ground. He was on the ground. This was late after the contact was made.
Just enough to slow up Davis so he couldn't catch up to that bomb from Tracy Ham. And so Baker will punt from his 50. A spiral into the wind. Taken by Olive. And there are flags on the play, and it looks like no yards, but there's also a flag back near the line of scrimmage. A 38-yard punt from Terry Baker. And Dave Ewell will conference with his fellow officials on that one.
Holding, Hamilton 95. No yards, Montreal number 6. First down.
Whatever your project, Canadian Tire can help it take shape. Canadian Tire, still the right place to do it.
So the penalties wipe themselves out, and the Ticats will scrimmage deep in their own territory inside the 20. McManus pumps. There's lots of pressure. Goes down the sideline, but Douglas Kraft has close cover on Bobby Olive.
Danny McManus was trying to throw behind. What that is as Bobby Olive goes down the sideline, he tries to throw it to his backside hip, hoping that the defensive back will overrun it. Great coverage there by Douglas Kraft, and there's no way he can get that ball in there. trying to throw it in behind him so he'll stop and come back to it. Kraft wouldn't allow it.
Kraft, one of 4 or 5 veterans on this Montreal team, who've announced this could well be their final year of pro football in the CFL, looking for one last hurrah. Here's McManus across the middle, and Darren Flutie had it and then dropped it. It's a punt situation for the Tiger Cats with 3:20 to go in the football game and a 6-point Hamilton lead.
You will not see that very often. Watch Flutie make things up as he's going along. He's supposed to have the wheel. He sees the coverage, decides to come out of it, opens up, creates a target, and then drops the football.
You wonder, he's looking directly into the setting sun in the west, and whether that may have affected his vision. The sun coming out here now in the late stage of this football game. Osbaldiston standing at his own 3-yard line. Haskins and Davis back to receive for Montreal. Osbaldiston letting the clock run down, taking most of his time, and gets away a boomer. Davis and Haskins argue over it. Finally, it's Davis with the ball. Reverses field. Kyle Walters has him, and they drag him down shy of the 40-yard line. A great swing in field position, a 58-yard punt for Paul Osbaldiston, and just a 7-yard return for Tyree Davis of the Alouettes. The Tiger Cats have scored just 1 point in the second half, clinging to a 19-13 lead. And in the game that was called on account of darkness yesterday in the OQIFC final, Concordia defeating Laval 17-12. The game was suspended at 10-10 yesterday. Today they played 2 10-minute overtime periods, and Concordia won it 7-2. There's a former Queens man who played in the OQ. Climby was at a big game over 100 yards in this one. Ham flushed and finally sacked by Mike Philbrook. Mike Philbrook, who had all 4 of his sacks this season against the Alouettes in 1 game in the regular season.
Tracy Ham wanted to go to Chris Armstrong down the field, but once again the Hamilton secondary will not allow him to get open. Armstrong is trying to work to find an open area. He gets jammed by Gerald Vaughn and then Justin Ring. He just can't find the opening. Ham has to hold the ball too long, and Philbrook gets to him.
Big loss on the play. 2nd and long. Montreal. Ham again, indecisive. Will run. Pursuit from Montford from the backside, and he's tackled well shy of the first down marker.
Well, now what do you do if you're Dave Ritchie? You got 2 minutes, 10 seconds left. About 6 yards for a first down.
Montford appears to be shaken up after making the tackle on Tracy Ham.
Ham has had 2 plays in a row where he has had tons of time to throw the football, but he can't find anybody open.
2 minutes to go in the game. 3rd down and 6. And the Alouettes are gambling again. Ham back to pass. Lots of protection. Then he ducks the rush. Buying himself more time. He'll run again. He's got the first down. He's very close, but there's a flag on the play.
Matt Cody was fighting with Gerald Vaughn and Rob Hitchcock down the field to try and get open. That may be the play of pass interference down the field, but I think Ham picks up the first on his own. That's what it is. Pass interference down the field. So either way, Montreal gets the first down.
Here's Dave Ewell.
Holding. Hamilton number 2. First down.
It's Eric Carter. That's legal, the first jam, but it's later when Ham is starting to scramble that Cody tries to get open. Vaughn's going to start to grab him and tackle him. They got the wrong number, but they got the right penalty.
Ticat secondary trying to manhandle the Alouette receivers. As Tracy Ham goes back to the old days and his scrambling to get a first down. And what a gamble, 3rd and 6. Ham back to pass, more pressure, that's Whitehead. Then comes Philbrook and another sack. Willie Whitehead, who moved in from the weekend position to the tackle to take over for the injured. Jeff Cummins is having a great game with big push.
Well, in fairness to the offensive line for the Montreal Alouettes, I mean, they have done a pretty nice job, but he cannot go downfield, and he's trying to find Chris Armstrong, and guess what? This time, because of the pressure, Armstrong is open, but because of Willie Whitehead, Tracy Ham doesn't see him. That's how it works sometimes. You saw that Chris Armstrong got jammed on one play. Ham couldn't get there, and he gets sacked. And that time, Ham has Whitehead in his face, and
Mike Philbrick is down on the field.
Stop into Canadian Tire for everything you need to get your car back on track. Canadian Tire, still the right place to do it.
Ticats looking on anxiously from their bench as Mike Philbrick stays down on the turf. Another one of those 6 Hamilton boys having a great game here at Ivor Wynn.
Ron Lancaster said at the very beginning of the season that the strength of his team, despite Danny McManus, despite Darren Flutie, was going to be his defense, and it's going to be his defense that's going to win it or lose it for him.
Philbrick has been so instrumental on the interior of that Hamilton defense. Said he was lured back after contemplating retirement. Came back to watch a preseason game. Joe Romolo was injured, and they said, look, Ron Lancaster has big plans. Come and talk to him and see what he wants to do in turning around this team as we look at the injured Bobby Olive nursing his right hand. And you know what? Philbrick was hooked. One game before the season started, he was back in a Ticat uniform.
It has been a physical game. Bobby Olive with the cut on his hand. Philbrick making his way to the sideline, and it usually is this time of year.
Second and long, the first down marker way down at the 45 of Hamilton. Ham striking deep, looking for Clammy. It's incomplete. Frank West and Orlando Steinauer, and it looks like Clammy is begging on his knees for a penalty.
I don't know, from my angle, the timing looked pretty good. I mean, there wasn't a lot of room for Tracy Ham to try and get that football into Jock Climby. But there are Hamilton Tiger-Cat defenders all over the place. Here it comes. Ball's coming right at you. Frank West, the nickel's breaking on it.
Well, Steiner was all over him, draped on his back, but no call. And now another huge third down gamble. 22 yards to go. 1:24 left in the game. Ham buying himself time. They need a first down. Now he's running for it, and he won't get it. Now the clock didn't move on the play, and now it's ticking after the whistle's been blown.
Dave Ritchie is pointing to the clock because it continued to run while both teams were changing offensively and defensively. Ham just cannot find an open receiver.
And in desperation, he runs and doesn't get it as Willie Whitehead tracks him down from behind. Climby open.
He got open, but he got open to the wrong side of the field. Ham was going to his left, and Climby went way over to the opposite side. And he got open late, and Ham just couldn't get it back, and they put some seconds back on the clock for Dave Ritchie.
It's gone from 106 back up to 122, but you have to wonder, was that the last hurrah for Tracy Ham and the Alouettes?
In the CFL, a minute and 22 is a long time. Danny McManus has been there before. He needs a first down or two to ice this one, or Montreal is going to get the ball back.
Potent in the first half. The Ticat offense has been quiet in the second half with just 1 point. And now Dave Ewell talking with the timer about the time, and that is critical at this stage. 1:22 is on the clock right now.
Well, they're going to straighten that time situation up, but what a courageous effort by the defense of the Montreal Alouettes. I mean, Doug Peterson lost early. Tom Hips had to come in and replace him. He was banged up coming into the game. They said he was around 70%. Steve Charbonneau's been battling in the middle. They've held Danny McManus in the second half, giving their team a chance to win.
1:22 to play in the East Final. A 6-point Hamilton lead. And Gravely comes up quick from the linebacker position to stop Ronald Williams.
I believe Alfred Payton just called the timeout.
Ron Lancaster anxious with 1:19 to go.
Okay.
They've called a timeout. Now, see, sometimes you got to call your timeout when you're on defense because you can't control the football. When you have the football, you can control the clock by throwing it to the sideline and getting out of bounds. When you don't have, you want to stop the clock by a timeout.
Tracy Ham at the age of 34. Some people wondering if he might retire. He's indicated that could be the case after this year. Jock Climby talking about the sense of urgency on this team for him and for others. Like Ham said, for Tracy in particular, it probably has occurred to him that he has the rest of his life to think about his last game, and the emotion when you think about that your career might be coming to an end, becomes awfully high in a game like this. Bootleg, first time we've seen that from McManus. He'll pass. It's out of bounds and a punting situation for the Tiger Cats.
Well, he had him fooled early, but Danny McManus simply doesn't have the speed to get to the outside. When he realized he was going to be run down and held short, he had to try and throw it.
1:14 left on the clock. The Alouettes will get the ball back. McManus without a completion in 5 attempts in the fourth quarter of this football game.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. Dave Ritchie has got to be proud about the play of his defense, especially in the second half. And now they've once again given their team the ball one more time.
Tyree Davis, the lone man back for the Alouettes. Will they attempt the block or the return? They'll set up the return. As Balderson angles it out of bounds at the 20-yard line. A 39-yard punt from Ozzie. And he tactically puts it out of bounds at the 20 of Montreal. 1:07 left to go. Tracy Ham will get another chance as Danny Mack shows his frustration, unable to move the ball and eat up the clock.
They had the one drive in the third quarter against the wind, but other than that, it's been all Montreal's defense, and that has given Tracy Ham one more opportunity with 1:07 left to not only move the football, but he has to manage the clock.
Well, he said teams have challenged him to be perfect as a passer, and now that challenge is at hand for Ham. Time dumps it off for Matt Cody, and he can't keep himself in bounds. Running out for a gain of maybe a yard.
Tracy Ham must be amazed at the amount of time that he's had to throw the football, and he still cannot find receivers downfield. I mean, he is standing in there all day.
Getting great protection from his offensive line. The same men who've opened more than 2,000 yards rushing for Pringle this year. There's Armstrong. He hasn't had a catch in this game. Ham's favorite target. 2nd and 10, 2nd and 9. Ham with an eternity, it seems. And there's Michael Souls open for the first bound and out of bounds to stop the clock with 54 seconds to play in the game.
Well, Neil Fort, Brian Chu, Sutherland, the boys up front are giving Tracy Ham opportunity. Michael Souls comes up with a key first down, but Tracy Ham has a long time back there.
Souls playing his heart out in this football game. 3 catches now for 45 yards. He has said he will retire after this season. 1 Grey Cup with the Eskimos. And back to pass on first down. More time. He's going deep. It's long. It's complete to Tyree Davis with Eric Carter draped all over him. 47 seconds to go in the game.
Well, now the frustration for the Hamilton Tiger Cats begins because that time they only rushed 3. They drop everyone back. Carter can't make the play.
What a catch by Davis, who's had problems all game holding on to the ball. Ham, another pass. Justin Ring tried to knock it down, missed it, but Pringle couldn't hold on. Incomplete, and that stops the clock with 38 seconds.
Straight man defense. Justin Ring matched up on Mike Pringle, and when he looks at this one tomorrow, he's going to say, I should have caught it. I should have turned around and tried to catch the football because he was there real early, and Danny McManus could only sit and watch.
First down.
The call goes against the Tiger Cats.
They tried to make a substitution, had too many men on the field.
Wow.
And now they're trying to work it out. Justin Ring's heading to the bench. Lamar McGrate's coming back on.
Ball's on the Hamilton 28. 38 seconds to play in the game. Ham looking. It's complete. Finally, Chris Armstrong makes a catch. And what a time to come up big. The ball's on the Hamilton 3.
He saved his best for last. Got inside position on Gerald Vaughn and used his body to protect the football.
32 seconds to play. First and goal. Alouettes on the 3. Ham throwing. Touchdown, Alouettes. Matt Cody. Dave Ritchie signals they'll go for one convert to take the lead in this game. It's tied 19-all as Matt Cody gets his second touchdown of the East Final, and Tracy Ham in the last minute of the game works magic.
Unbelievable.
Baker's convert is good. The Alouettes take the lead for the first time in this football game with 24 seconds left to play.
We said save the best for last. Chris Armstrong, Tracy Ham's going to roll away. He hits Matt Cody to the outside. This is the touchdown. The play earlier was Armstrong down the seam to set it up, and the bench goes nuts.
Drive 6 plays, 90 yards, taking only 43 seconds.
And now this is what they're going to do. Montreal's going to line up in the kickoff formation with 24 seconds left and likely hit it along the ground. That'll start the clock and it'll bounce it around and use up some of the time because they don't want to give Danny McManus any time with the football.
Paul Osbaldiston will have the wind at his back if he's called upon for either a punt single or a field goal attempt. Single will tie it, field goal to win. And in warm-ups, he kicked one 54 yards with the wind. Danny Mack licking his fingers, getting set to go on offense. He knows he's got maybe 2 or 3 plays to get this team into scoring range.
Yeah, it'll depend on how well Terry Baker can hit this along the ground.
Baker puts it up. Held up by the wind. Ronald Williams touches it, drops it, then gets it on the bounce. Breaks free. Gets very close to the 45-yard line. That play took only 4 seconds.
See, that's a mistake to me by Terry Baker. Now, I don't know if he did it on his own or it was obviously come in from the sideline, but when you kick it in the air, the clock doesn't start until it touches Ron Williams. That's why that play only took 4 seconds. Now, Danny McManus has 20 seconds with the clock. He can get 4 or 5 plays in 20 seconds. There's still lots of time to put his team in position to kick that single to tie or a field goal to win.
Danny Mack without a completion in the 4th quarter in 5 attempts. And now the weight heavy on his shoulders, full of playoff experience. 20 seconds to go. McManus, quick release, it's complete to Flutie for the first down. But he stays in bounds. That means the clock will keep running. 16 seconds to go in the game.
The clock starts as soon as the official blows his whistle. They're out over the ball, ready to go.
McManus in the hurry-up offense. Hands off to Ronald Williams. 10 seconds to go. Trying to get that ball into position inside the hash marks.
Sorry, Mark. McManus is trying to get the call from the sideline. He wants to send in the kicking team right now.
Yes, and Osbaldiston's coming into the game. The ball is on the 47-yard line of the Alouettes. And Osbaldiston will set up his tee on the 54.
Now here's what Montreal will do. They're going to send in Terry Baker, put 3 in the end zone, including John Climby, Terry Baker, and Ben Cahoon. Now, if Osbaldiston misses his field goal, they'll try and kick it back out.
54 yards. He hit one like this in the warm-ups. Here's Osbaldiston. Lots of leg. It's good. may be hurt on the field. He was on the bottom of that pileup as the Ticats celebrated at center field, and he's still down. 54 yards. He was mugged afterwards by his teammates, and he hasn't been able to get up. Well, let's go down to Steve Armitage at field level.
Paulos Balduson has yet to get to his feet. He was buried under that huge pileup here at Ivor Wynne Stadium. He's shaken up. He still doesn't know what hit him. I know he knows the ball went through the uprights, but he's still shaken up. Caroline.
All right, Danny McManus is with me now. Danny, boy, this has got to be one of the better games you've ever played in. Tell us your thoughts.
Oh, it's an unbelievable game. It's too bad the team has to lose. Both of these teams came out here and played hard for a full 60 minutes. You know, for this organization, these people in these stands, this is a great win for us.
It seemed like you had the momentum for most of the game. You scored 18 points in the first quarter. How did the wind affect this game today?
A little bit. Tracy and I both had problems throwing against the wind. But when you give Tracy and Mike a short field like we were doing in the second half, they're going to put points on the board. And hey, they deserve to be there as well, but unfortunately one team can go.
Now, how do you feel about going to the Grey Cup? Back to Winnipeg, your old stomping grounds, Danny.
Oh, I think it'll be fun. The even year thing is keep going on, so I'm going to keep doing that as much as I can.
Well, congratulations, Danny, and we'll see you there. Back to Steve.
Thank you, Caroline. I've got Paulos Balduson with me. Ozzy, that's a dream come true.
Oh, unbelievable. I mean, I can't believe we even gave up the opportunity that we had to come back and do that. And then I don't know who the hell made the catch, but it was a fantastic effort by Danny to get into range. You know, we guys have packed away the tees and everything. We had to scramble even find a tee to get it on the field.
You said to us before the game that you wanted that opportunity, that you were looking forward to kicking the game-winning field goal.
I felt, thank God I did today, because I wasn't real good otherwise, and sure nice to leave, with a win, obviously, but when I know where the special teams can make a difference, felt really good.
Well, congratulations. Good luck on Winnipeg.
Thanks.
Mark.
Shades of 92 when Paulos Balduson kicked a 46-yarder in the snow to beat Ottawa by 1 in the East semifinal. And one last chance for the Tiger Cats from 54. And this time, Paulos Balduson splits the uprights. And Ron Lancaster is going to the Grey Cup for the first time as the winner from the East. And Dave Ritchie drops to his knees. Victory snatched with one last kick. Paulos Balduson, the hero in Hamilton, his last second field goal, beating the Alouettes 22-20.
They are still celebrating here at Ivor Wynne. It was a thriller. The Ticats pull it out with a last-second field goal. With me now is Rob Hitchcock. And Rob, congratulations on a super game.
Thank you very much. I mean, all week long we've been waiting for this moment. Ozzy visualized it all week long. He said, I just can't wait. I hope I get a chance to make the last kick. And oh my God, it came true. So we're just happy. We're ecstatic right now. We're ready to go.
Quick thought on going to Winnipeg.
All I got to say is here we come, and look out who's ever playing us.
22-20, the final score here at Ivor Wynne. It's the Ticats who head to Winnipeg to take on whoever in the Grey Cup. A last-second field goal does it for the Hamilton Ticats. They are headed to the Grey Cup. Who they face, will it be the Stampeders or the Eskimos? Let's go there now, Scott Russell.